I was waiting for the music to crescendo, but this kind of music seems to be built to always be sort of at a forever crescendo. Hey everybody, I'm Trooper SJP, and this is the Academic Foxhole. How are y'all doing? What's going on? Although this seems like a different part of the theme. Hi, hello again, Origami Shuriken. How are you? It is good to see you in another space. Hi everyone. What? PH says, if your game is dragging, just burst through the door with a gun. Yeah, it is very, very soft. I turned it way down because everybody says that the music in the break screen is really loud, so I turned it way down. I mean, I'm showing that it is there in the background. Also, Rissa, thank you for those bits. I think you know what that means. No worries, Rissa. Yes, Krellin? I want to talk about SRDs. Oh, I did want to talk about SRDs, didn't I? I did. That's true. But first, I'm gonna sing We're in the Money, but, you know, in Pig Latin. It's true, Origami. So, as sung by Ginger Rogers in the film Gold Diggers of 1933. Also, this is actually quite loud for me, so I'm gonna turn that down. Airway and hey, the anime. Airway and hey, the anime. Eve way at gale at way of way at way at way te ute et gale young way. Airway and hey, the anime. Either I skays or ani say. Oh man, the Asian pray, ooey are ooh, three you a stay on way on rail. Ewa ever eat red leons lay, air way at Brian's lay, ooh, day. And we see the Anley or what look at the eye, Gary in the IA. We're in the money, we're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along. Woo! I'm so excited. So excited. So excited. Yeah, so I did want to talk about, thank you, Rissa, very much for that, by the way. I hope everybody's doing really well, and I hope you're feeling fine this Saturday. Krellin said something last Thursday, I think on Twitter or somewhere, you know, on a place. Krellin said a thing somewhere on a place, and I was like, and it was just about like, what are the point of Thursdays with no Critical Role? And I was like, yeah, I miss my Critical Role on my Thursdays, and it's just like a little weird because, like, you know, I have my little thing, I stream, and then like I eat some food, and then Critical Role starts, and I watch it with the group, and now I'm not watching it with the group, and I'm like, oh, Origami Shuriken says, Trooper, you're my ray of sunshine. You're a ray of sunshine in my rainy Midwestern morning. Oh, hey, thank you. Oh, thanks. Krellin says, oh yeah, that was on Twitter. What is even the point of Thursdays anymore? Like, I don't even know. PH says, I have like four RPG shows to catch up on. I wonder about that. Like, I think, what day is today? Saturday? I currently am caught up on the shows that I'm actively watching. There are other shows that I could watch. Actually, there are podcasts I need to catch up on. Let's be fair. That's what I need to do. But to be really fair, I don't have time for any of that business. I've got other things I need to do. I have too much to do. Atomica says, I gave myself one of the dumbest minor injuries I've given myself in a while at work. Oh. Atomica, did you cut off your arm again? Atomica has not cut off his arm because that would not be a minor injury. I'm just messing. I'm just sort of being a goof in the morning. Watch shows? Then I can't watch Twitch. Oh, when I say watch shows, I only mean Twitch. I've not watched television. Oh, that's kind of true, but it's also not exactly true. I don't watch television. I will sometimes have the news on in the background, but that's only when I'm multitasking and not fully paying attention to it, only if I just, do you know what I mean? Like, I'll have the news on in the background, but I'm not looking at it and I'm not really giving it my attention. But it's there, and I'm hearing it, but I don't really watch TV anymore. I gave my index finger a cardboard cut, moving bundles of boxes. It hurt, but hey, that happens. Next bundle, I cardboard cut the exact same spot. Oh, Atomica, that's terrible. Here's one for you. You can't see it. I mean, you can't see it. I don't think you can see it. Maybe you can see it. Do you see that right there? I gave myself a paper cut when I was moving my RPG papers around. And like right there. And I was like, awkward. It's terrible. It would be a minor injury if Atomica was a troll, which he might be. Amputation is unlikely called minor. Atomica, the only one worse from experience is X-ray film. Ooh. Cardboard is the machete of the paper cut game. This is all, especially if it's a little ragged. So I posted a code in the Discord for City of Light and Shadow. You just reminded me of something I wanted to say about City of Light and Shadow. There we go. There was a thing I wanted to say about City of Light and Shadow, but I actually didn't want to say it. I just wanted to write it down in case I publish this as a book one day, right? Because I might publish this as a book. I will not be writing that book at the moment, but I already have a Bible out where I've got a bunch of stuff written down, and now I want to add to it. And I just had a thought of something I wanted to add. Anyway, the point is, there's the thing. Oh yes, you're right. I did not PM her on Twitch because she asked for me to send it to her email. And I always do everything like right there in that moment on Twitch, but then I was sent to another mind space. Hold on. I can doing this right now. Code for you? Yeah. I mean, this is what happens. I was like, right, email, and then squirrel, where is it? Here. Boom. And then I'm sending a smiley face. Sent. That's it. Sent. Let's see. All right. Atomica says, my hands are covered in cuts from stupid work-related injuries and games of the five-finger fillet and a few accidental burns, but those heal pretty well. I've never been a hand model. Maybe you should be a hand model. Atomica, I bet there's probably a market for like hardcore hand model. You know what I mean? Like you'd be like hardcore hands, and you'd be like, I don't know, you'd market, you'd be a hand model for like leather cuffs and like Hot Topic rings, like rings with skulls on them. You're like hardcore hand model, ring with skulls. Hardcore hand model, leather, hardcore hand model. I'm having a hard time thinking about other things that the hardcore hand model. I'm just saying that there might be a market for hardcore hand model, and then you could put that on your business card. You can be like Atomica, hardcore hand model, and that would be like your thing. And you'd have to like watch out that you didn't get your hand, too well. Like you have to make sure it was like just cut enough, but not too much the entire time. I'm just saying it's like a possibility. Trooper, do you have a 5e starter set and a bunch of 5e books over your left shoulder? I do. Right there's the starter set, and then those are the 5e. I'm probably missing. What am I missing? I've got the core 3, and then I've got Xanathar's Guide, and then Ghost of Saltmarsh, and then the Tal'Dorei campaign setting. I should have gotten Wildmount at some point. I don't know, but I think it's probably at my post office box. And then into the Badlands. That's my 5E section right there. But sorry, I was just noting that I have a little bit of space left over on the shelf, like just a couple of inches, and I was like, do I want to move the RPGs from over there to over there? And the answer is no, because I start with a brand new system over there, and I don't want to mess up my system. Krellin's like, I think you were just like saying hardcore hand model, and actually I think that's probably true, because I realized it kind of sounds awesome. Vulpus is like, I think it sounds like it's TOS. Does it? Or does it sound awesome? Hardcore hand model. Explosions. I almost bet the modeling world would rather have perfect hands with makeup scars than actual scars. Oh, but then Atomica. Oh, that's Krellin, thank you. It's Volo's Guide to Monsters is the one that I'm missing, right? It's Volo's Guide. It's Xanathar and Volo's Guide. And I think there are more things now, like I know there's like the Magic the Gathering one, Ravnica, but I don't really know much about that. And then I think there's an Eberron has come out, which I should probably get because I do like Eberron, whatever. Need though. Wildmount is hard to get right now, but yes, you need Volo's and the Mordenkainen's book. Oh, really? Is that true? That's very strange. I mean, I like Eberron. I don't know why it would say that. That's very odd. Here, try this one. Try this one. I feel like sometimes, I wonder if there's like a timeout. I wonder if there's a timeout on these. That would make me sad if there was. Here, try this. Rissa, try this. Try this. Yeah, I do. I mean, I've always liked, when I played Eberron, I really liked it back in 3rd edition. And I just sent an alternate. What? The name game. Come on, everybody. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F or an M will appear. And then I say Bo at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and foe. And then I say the name again with an F, very plain. Then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. But if the first 2 letters are ever the same, I drop them both and say the name like Bob. Bob drop the B's, Bo, or Fred. Fred drop the F's, for Red, or Mary. Mary drop the M's, Mo, Airy. That's the only rule that is contrary. Be right, be right, be right, Bo, E right, banana, fanna, fo, fee right, fee, fi, mo, me right. Be right. Be right. 1 year. You are 1 year old. 1 year. Oh, so good. When I chose resend, they sent me a link to Gone Home, which was excellent, but not the given question. That's so weird. That's very strange. I don't know what that's about. Did you get the second one that I sent you? I sent you a second one. You should let me know if that happened. So let me see. What else? I was just wanting to. So let me know if the second email that I got sent you. Hey, Barontor, if that got to you. I think that's the weirdest thing about being a lifelong D&D homebrewer. I know almost nothing about the actual world lore. One of the things I liked about, we will get there. One of the things I really liked about Eberron was that it was a fresh start. Well, actually, there are a bunch of things I liked about it. Like here we are at 3rd edition, and both Forgotten Realms and Greyhawk had all of this, like, all of this lore cruft. Do you know what I mean? And so I'm gonna tell y'all something, and you might think, really, Trooper? Oh no, SRD has been in my mind too because of Call of Cthulhu. So like it's in my mind right now, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. So it may not look like it from all of this, right? But I prefer my settings to be somewhat self-contained. And what I mean by that is I prefer there to be a small number of books that tells me everything I need to know about the setting, and then I want them to stop making setting books. I know like this is just my one book to rule the land. Yeah, and like you can give me 3 or like 1 in an add-on. Do you know what I mean? But I don't like, and I don't mind gear books. Like if you're gonna give, like I know this is like I have thoughts and feelings, and partly it is I don't mind like a gear book, something like that is optional that I can have or not have. It depends on if I want it, or things like that. But things that involve lots of lore, where all of a sudden if you want to start playing in this world you need 10 books, that I don't like so much. I don't like that so much. Levi says, if you don't read the 75 supplemental novels, can you even run a game in Dark Sun for your friends? I say no. That's the thing I like to avoid, Levi. Do you like it when a company updates the setting and moves? I hate Barontor. I hate that. That is the thing that I hate more than anything. I do. Like I do not hate many things in life. There are very few things in life that I hate, to be honest, besides some vegetables. Although even then, besides some vegetables. But when I am super anti-meta plot, I don't like it. I don't like it so hardcore. I like it worse. Like if when it comes to things I like, number 1 I like is Krellin is correct. Metaplot ruined World of Darkness, and Barontor hates metaplot and also pickles. I think thing I like the most is self-contained setting, right? Self-contained setting, preferably in 1 or 2 books. I'm totally fine with. So that's the top of my list. The top of my list is a self. Oh, Pocky. You want a if you want a metaplot plays an MMO, except that MMOs even really give you good metaplot. Ugh. Atomica says, I just remembered I bought chocolate banana cream Pocky, and I'm Pocky, and I'm Pocky, and I'm incredibly. Oh, I love Pocky. I love Pocky a lot. It's a little bit of a problem. Well, maybe it's not that much of a problem because I don't get it that often. Maybe it's a problem because I don't get it that often. I love Pocky. I just want you to know it. Javai says, as much as I love my stupidly long epic fantasy book series, I kind of agree to agree with that, at least. Well, I'm fine with there's a couple of, if there's like a core location in the setting and that is enough, but additional supplements for the wild world because I like worlds. I have multiple thoughts about this that I can explain a bit more. Levi says, MMO metaplot boils down to how can we add cat people? Levi, why are you just talking the truth right now? Why are you just dropping truth bombs? This is what I want to say. Rissa, give me a second. I got something for you. Barontor says, Krellin says, name an MMO that has ever advanced the metaplot in a good, meaningful way. And I think they sort of can't. Do you know what I mean? Barontor says, I don't mind a metaplot if they say the whole thing is going to be that way. I don't like it introduced into a setting when it's years old. As much as folks love Living Greyhawk, it looks like that has basically killed the setting. I didn't like it in Vampire. I have thoughts about this. Atomica says, I have both worlds. I play very self-contained games in a single world I've been playing with and building since like 98. Origami says, I bought some Pocky last weekend. I ate 2 sticks. The rest disappeared. When you say disappeared, did it disappear in your stomach? because that's what happens with the boxes. Like, I'm like, oh, a box of Pocky. And then I was like, what happened? They're all gone. Volpa says, no, only good Pocky is men's Pocky, dark chocolate. I will fight and die. Oh, I don't like dark chocolate. So, no. I liked it in Battletech. Huh. Seattle with Metaplot kind of works, but lots of Metaplot stuff also doesn't work. But see, the problem with SR is that this is the thing I don't like about SR. The thing about SR is it has Metaplot that has the effect that I don't like in Metaplot. There are things I don't like about Metaplot, and one of those things that I don't like is that you get lore lawyers who are like, well, that's not how this happened, but you don't know what happened in Shadowrun in 1985. Then you're not like, I don't want lore lawyers running around nitpicking everything. Like, I hate that. And then it just really encourages lore lawyers and like fighting and all sorts of like gatekeeping. Oh, I just hate it. I hate Metaplot because of I hate Metaplot for two reasons. One, it encourages lore lawyering and gatekeeping. That's one, and I don't like that. Okay, maybe three reasons. One, right, lore lawyering and gatekeeping, don't like it. Two, it makes it harder for new people to come in, which is sort of connected to one. And four. So, okay, four, sorry. I have multiple reasons. One, it encourages lore lawyering and gatekeeping. I don't like it. Two, it makes it harder for new players to come in. Three, it makes it harder for a new GM to come in. And four, probably the biggest reason I don't like it is that the publisher is taking some kind of agency away from me as a GM. It's telling me what's supposed to be happening in my campaign, and because the publisher is publishing it officially, the publisher is doing an end run around me directly to the players and telling my players what should be happening in my campaign, and I don't like that at all. I don't like it. I do not like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I think I need to say this one more time. I don't like it. I don't like it. I really don't like it. I'm just not a fan of that. Hey, Artie Snack. Things are going well with me. I had such a fun game in the French Resistance game last night, City of Light and Shadow, so I'm having a good time. Oh, Origami Shuriken has roommates. I think they disappeared it. That's doable. Volpa says, and we've established you are wrong with dark chocolate. No, I'm not saying dark chocolate is evil. I feel like other people can like it. I just don't like it because I'm a super taster. But like, it's not bad. I am not placing my personal taste on other people as a judgment of their character, because that would be gross. Javai says, I do dislike it if a setting requires like 5+ books to understand. Same. But as I like expansive worlds, I'm fine with some mix, like different books for different regions or something, so you can do it small scale if you want, with just 1 or 2 books, but there's more out there if you're interested. That's fine. Yeah, you have to like, for me it's like, but now we're moving into like supplements versus Metaplot. And I don't like Metaplot at all. Like that is just not a thing I like. Whether or not I like supplements will depend on what kind of supplements they are. Because again, please note, see all of these GURPS books that I have here, just all of them. So I don't mind supplements, but it depends on what kinds of supplements they are. And if they are, like how optional they are. Like, I think that you can do supplements well, and then you can do supplements in ways that I personally will not like. Carlin notes that my hate of Metaplot is like the Spanish Inquisition. Hey, no one expects a Spanish Inquisition. Levi says, yeah, I started using my own settings for games because of that shit. That's not the name of the king here. This town isn't even near the one we just, yeah, right? I'm like, come on. I can't, come on, don't with me. I cannot. Atomic says, exactly. I breadcrumb my world lore. If they follow the trail, then it happens. If not, then I don't worry about it. I always consider any previous game's historical record, so if there's any discrepancy, it's because history lies. Nice, Atomica. Barantor says, I just like building my own setting anyway. They can keep making new ones. I just keep borrowing ideas. Nice. Yeah. How do you like it, Sam? I do not like it in a box. I do not like it with a fox. I do not like Metaplot. I do not like it, Sam. I ought. I do not like it, Sam. I ought. Yeah, that's it. But do you like it, Trooper? I don't know. I don't. Hey, Chicken Wolf, how are you? Trooper likes clans because he likes having parts he can... you know, if you can swap out things, like, yeah, I like optional rules. We all expect Trooper's dislike. I thought nobody expected... You're free, PH, you're free. Sam are not. I do not like it, Sam are not. Sam are not, I like it. So I'm thinking about, all right, so here are some thoughts about where I'm at in terms of what happens. I like it if the setting, all right, so first off, if you can get everything in one book, nice, right? Proof, I do not like it, semiotic. Oh, be right, be right, be right, be right, be right. Be right. Be right. I have an emote for what you just said. I have an emote. I do. Right there. Right there. Also, Volpa says, proof today's stream may in fact be brought to you by day drinking. I know I want day drinking. PH says, we agreed on 3 hours. It was reached and I got out of there. The others are continuing to play, but I just couldn't. I'd already played that one shot before and it was just so slow. Oh, what system? Was it D&D? Was it D&D? PH, was it D&D? Tell me. You can tell me. You can tell me. You can tell me. Was it? Was it? I just want to know. I do like GURP Social Engineering. I like it. I don't, Krella, Trooper 13 emotes is not an emote. Well, it's just, it is an emote, just, given to you multiple times. Atomica, what evil GM thing did you do? You should share. You should share. Oh, John Carter of Mars. That's, Savage Worlds? No, it's not Savage World. It's Modiphius, isn't it? It's Modiphius, right? It's Modiphius? I don't have it, I don't think. Right? What are you having for lunch? Hey, Rice. D&D is much faster. It was mostly the GM style, I think. Oh, really? Oh, interesting. It was compared to Conan and Star Trek Adventures at the start. Huh. Huh. It's a supplement that digs deeper into the mechanics of social interactions. Yes. Yeah. Now I'm imagining someone munching on a single giant rice grain. Actually, I think I would totally do that. Like a giant rice grain, kind of like a burrito. Like I'd eat it and then I'd have like, I don't know, some shredded pork, giant rice grain, maybe a giant bean. And then I'd be clearly living in some sort of, what's his face? Lilliput. Robinson Crusoe? What? Who? Lilliput. Maybe I'm just Ant-Man. That's what it is. I had to do a small session. I had a player do a small session. He's been excitedly saying since last session that he needs 60 XP to level up. I just gave him 59. Oh, Atomica. Honey, I Shrek the Trooper. Yes. I'm gonna give him that 1 XP. I just want to see him panic. Jonathan Swift. But Jonathan Swift's the author, right? But the book is called The Adventures Gulliver's Travels. Thank you, Volpez. I was like, come on now, I know this. Thank you, Gulliver's Travels. So, oh, right, okay, so all in one book is my fave, so that I can get everything that I need all in one book, sort of self-contained. If we're then going to go and have supplements, the next thing will be like 3 core books. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's fine. Gulliver's Travels is about mescaline. Confirmed. Yes. I hated the Jack Black movie of Gulliver's Travels so much. It was so bad. Oh, I haven't seen it. It didn't look great, so I just didn't see it. And then when it comes to supplements, I really like the GURPS model, obviously, where you have one core book and that is actually all you need. I will often just run from just the core book. That's it. And then you've got optional supplements that are often self-contained, right? So GURPS will have, so I've got my basic set, which is in 2 books, and then I've got Banestorm, which is their fantasy setting, and that's it. Just that one sort of separate book. And they've got like, they do have add-ons for Banestorm, but they're things like Banestorm martial art styles or Banestorm magic supplement. Things that are not lore and are not setting, they're just like optional things you can have or not have and you'll be fine. They've got a lot of like tech books or magic books that again are optional. Like they've got space, fantasy, high tech, horror. These are like genre books that like help you sort of create campaigns in that genre, or tech books. And they've got a couple setting books, but their setting books tend to be self-contained. Like I love Traveler Interstellar Wars. It's one of my favorites because it's everything you need in that one book, and I love it. Trooper, do you like a big all-in-one setting or a small detailed one where you can add to it with external things they don't cover? Like a fantasy one that is only one country, but the rest aren't covered in details. I think, I think I'm neutral on that topic. I think I'd be fine with either one if it were done well. I think I'd be fine with either one. I really can't say. I can't, at the moment I don't have strong feelings one way or the other. Javai says, do you think GURPS model would work as well if the system had a set setting that goes along with it? Oh, make yourself a dinner, PH. PH, I want to talk to you when you get back about something. When you get back, tell me so we can talk about something. It's tricky because Dungeon Fantasy doesn't really have a setting. Like it varies on. It has a very explicit and on purpose no setting. Dungeon Fantasy is sort of settingless on purpose, so they can make all these supplements to it, but the supplements are all basically crunch, right? No setting, no fluff. So Dungeon Fantasy has multiple supplements, but it's not like we're going to detail this world or that world, because it sort of doesn't have, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't really. But now there is that Viking setting but it's done by a third party person, right? Hey Volus dude, how you doing? Big hearts. Also, they'd have to change the name because having a setting means it's not generic. Yeah, instead they just have settings, but they have multiple settings. Yeah, the Viking Fantasy is oh, I have it. It's you know, the Citadel at Nordvorn, Hall of Judgment. So yeah, he's got his it's Gaming Ballistic did it. Yeah, Hall of Judgment, and then the Citadel at Nordvorn. But of course that's third party, which right says something. But like I'm thinking about setting. Okay, here's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about games that have settings that then also have lots of supplements that don't do that. Name brand universal roleplay system. I suppose maybe you could argue that that's sort of D&D, sort of, right? Maybe you could argue that D&D is a yes, I will totally, Volpez. Some folks like having a GURPS with a more pre-focused content group. Yeah, but of course you can still get that in GURPS, right? Because you can be like, I'm going to run Interstellar Wars, which has got everything you need. Or I'm going to run, if you want multiple books, you can run Transhuman Space, because they've got all their books out there for that one. Or the World War II line actually had multiple, lots of support for that one as well. I think their biggest lines were probably Transhuman Space, World War II. The only thing is apparently they don't sell that well. You know what I mean? So no, Krellin, this is my point though, is that I think you could maybe argue that D&D, I mean, and this is a little bit tricky, right? That you could maybe argue that D&D is a another thing that, because D&D I think only vaguely has a setting. Like it, technically, I suppose the core setting is Forgotten Realms with their pantheon and whatnot. Like they theoretically have one in the core book, but I feel like they don't really. Do you know what I mean? I feel like they don't. I feel like it's vague and not like, basically it doesn't have to be there if you don't want it to be there, you know? And I feel like the books, like I feel like the monster manual doesn't really say any kind of setting, and the player's handbook doesn't really say any kind of setting. Like I feel like there's kind of like if the setting, if this were the setting, instead of like putting it in there, they kind of just like wave it around near, sort of. Yeah, it's usually the GM that sets the setting and theme in GURPS, and usually it's altered some. All the settings for GURPS does is allow folks to jump in without as much work by the GM. Yeah. The modules have a setting though. 5e's core setting is Forgotten Realms-ish. Yeah. 5e was a new setting. Points of Light. 3e was Greyhawk. 2e and 1e were, yeah, 2e and 1e didn't really have a setting at all. They were like, whatever. 5e, Baron says 5e is definitely Forgotten Realms as a default, but they don't concretely say it is. The core books are more generic, but they definitely lean on what they have in Forgotten Realms. Yeah. Waterdeep, Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter. Yeah. And any real game, unless it's a sponsored game, no GMs run things without tweaking them. For D&D, you mean? Well, the thing is, Vulpes, I don't think that's true. I mean, I think that there are GMs that like to tweak things, but I think that there are GMs. I mean, look, any system, I just don't think that's true. I don't think that's true, Vulpes. And I would say that probably the people that you know, and maybe the people that I know, often tweak things, but there are a lot of GMs who all they do is run modules. Do you know what I mean? Like they don't tweak at all, and they don't want to, or they're just like really into being really like tied down to lore, where they would never imagine, like, and as a matter of fact, they want meta plot because that's what they want to happen, right? Like they want to follow. I mean, like there are reasons, like I think there are reasons why those Pathfinder adventure paths that take you from 1 to 20 are popular with people, because you can then run that and without alteration, like here's my journey from level 1 to level 20 and everything is there for me. I mean, I think Levi says there's a whole organization in place to run 5e by the book. That's true. And Baron says, by the way, I have not been doing my wrist exercises. I've been really bad at it. So while we're chatting, I'm just going to do my wrist exercises. But on the plus side, I feel way better. I got this, what do you call it? Cortisone injection, right in there, which is kind of gross. But then like my wrist feels way better now after that one cortisone shot. So that was really good. But I'm gonna do my exercises right now so you know that I'm doing my job. Carlin points out Xanathar and Volo point to FR as a core setting, but Morton Kanan is Greyhawk. That's true. Baron says there are GMs that just use what's in the book and might not be as good about altering the pre-written content. I had a GM run Curse of Strahd for the most part by the book, and it was grand. Nothing wrong with it. My wife gets cortisone shots too in her hip. Oh, yeah, and I hope that I don't need to get another one. I hope this is like fixed it. I don't know. My dad says at comic he used to get those shots in his vertebrae. Oh, yeah. And the thing is, I don't think there's anything bad, right, about one or the other, anything like that. But I will, because I basically think that it's important to remember that people play really differently, and this is, I think, sometimes a bit of a trickiness, right? I think it's a bit of a trickiness because people sort of imagine that everybody plays RPGs the way that they do, but people play really, really differently. So differently that I think that it's not even recognizable as the same hobby sometimes, but then nobody realizes that people play completely differently, and that can then you can run into problems, right? I learned DMing from Tolkien, so of course I tend towards world building, but lots of people didn't learn the same way I did. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's apples versus bananas. Yeah, and I also think, and that's why we need to have more diverse types of play on Twitch. Oh, I agree. Like, but for real though, really diverse types of games on Twitch, and I think. I think I would like a bit more talking about what you're doing, like getting into the mind. Like I'm thinking about, I'm so busy right now, but I'm thinking about trying to figure out what I can do with City of Light and Shadow to sort of explain what I'm doing, like in my mindset, like what it is that I think that I'm doing, what are my aims, to understand what in the back of my mind is happening, like why I'm doing what I'm doing as a GM, what my goal as a GM is for that game. And I think that sometimes people don't actually think that way about their game, and which is also fine. You just won't get. But I mean, I think that maybe you could ask everybody, like, hey, what is your goal in this game? What are you wanting to do here? And they might say, I really want to do the module correctly, right? Like I want to make sure I get the module right, or, you know, whatever they got going on. Hello, Toad. How are you? Not just show, teach, or more like, pull back the curtain a little bit. And I think it's really tricky. You know, actually, you know what? Because the thing is that I feel like it's like that after action report where you do you know what you could do? Do you know what you could do? Do you know what would do it? I know what would do it. I know what it is. I have it now. I have it. And this is what I'm going to say is a little bit, what you need is director's commentary. So like you have a streamed game, and then like you record director's commentary where, the GM can watch the game and then sort of comment on what they're doing and why they do it as the game goes on. But also you could then get players' commentary where the players could talk about what they were doing and why they were doing it at that moment. I think that would be, that's the money, I think would be really good. Like players' commentary, that would be, I think I would love that. That's what I think I would like. PH, I'm glad you're back because I wanted to mention something to you. And like your chat with Polished Cryptid, some of the Session Zero stuff that happens where the viewers can't see. Yeah. Javai says, yeah, min-maxing dungeon crawling group with little folks on role-playing is very different from, let's say, a Monster Hearts is very different. Oh, yeah, and they're both totally legit, but they're just doing different things. And even two different dungeon crawl games would have different motivations. Like the GM is doing something different in each one. If I'm going to do a dungeon crawl, I imagine I'm going to do a dungeon crawl very different. What I want out of that dungeon crawl is going to be very, very different than what Gary Gygax wants out of that dungeon crawl. And so even things that on the surface look like they're the same probably are also quite different, at least in the motivation and what the thought process is behind it as well. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. maybe a secondary show where you go through what your mindset was at key points of a session of a game you've already played. Yeah, I need a clone. It's true. I just lost track of how many of those I just did. We're going to say that was 5. And because I think you have to watch out shows that talk about and play other types of RPGs, including here need to watch the Smack talk about D&D. You will scare off new players who that's all they know. You have to watch out shows that talk about other types of RPGs, including here need to watch the Smack talk about D&D. Hey, Vulpus, I mean, here's the thing. The truth about D&D is it is the most popular game, and that's what the vast majority of players do. They play D&D. You know, that's it. That is the... Twitch RPGs need DVD extras. This is what I'm thinking. Well, you know, it's funny. The anti-D&D crowd is pretty vocal. And I think they're vocal because they're super marginalized. I mean, you know, that's... And also, I mean, I think the anti-D&D crowd is pretty vocal because they're super marginalized, and often because they can only play D&D, right? Like, if you're a D&D person, you'd never have to play anything else besides D&D. You know what I mean? Like, you can just never play anything else. But if you are if you're an anti-D&D person, you're often forced to play D&D if you want to play at all, and that can be very, very frustrating, is what I would say. Rissa says, especially after last night's session of City of Light and Shadow, Jules and Regina reacting to their experiences versus Dot and JS motives as players. Yeah, I would love to hear those things. Well, Gary Gygax just wants his phylactery, being dead and a lich. Gary, I'm not getting into the Orb of Annihilation, no matter how much you enjoy character death. Says PH. Krellin says, best dungeon crawl I ever did was one my brother ran. He had us make high-level characters, then told us all to pass our character sheets to our left, but keep the class he made. Then he proceeded to put us to the dungeon he created real time with random charts in DMG. Oh, that's very cool. That's very cool. Toad says, in my morning D&D session today, I made beef bourguignon while a poison god played sous chef for me. Nice. Krellin asked, Trooper, I just noticed, is that a t-shirt filled with Lauren's fire emote? It is. It is a t-shirt filled with Lauren's fire emote. It is. Yes. Dot writes a lot about her thoughts in her Discord. That's true, actually. Session notes would be cool. So I'm trying to work out right now what, like, I'll let you know. But my session notes are often before the fact and not after the fact. And so they would end up doing something different, right? Because like I do, yeah, I have... Yeah, so but I still think they'd be useful. I just need to get a little bit of extra time to be able to sort of organize them, and it might have to wait until after the semester is over, or at least until after I have everything uploaded onto the computer. Well, you know, it's interesting about a VOD for newbies to learn from. Well, I'm imagining it'll be before I move, but after the semester is what I'm thinking. Well, unless my move becomes ridiculous. Speaking of which, I need to get an apartment. But anyway, I think, yeah, but so like about the D&D thing, I think the D&D thing is really complicated, right? Because while there are certainly people, yeah, like this is what I'm thinking, Vulpes, like a post-season commentary track for the YouTube is what I'm thinking. I've got to figure it out. I'm gonna work it out. I'm gonna work out something. So here's what I'm thinking, right? What I'm thinking is that commentary track is tricky because I think, D&D. I will tell you, as a person who did not like D&D for a lot of time, it's very frustrating when the only thing you can play is a game you don't like. Because here's one thing I've noticed about D&D players often. They will refuse to play anything else. Non-D&D players will often play anything and everything. If you are not primarily a D&D player, like people I know who are not D&Ders, they'll play anything. They'll be like, sure, I'll try that. And I'll try anything. You want me to try, I don't know, you name it, I'll try it. Like, I will try things that I'm not even, are not in my wheelhouse, I'll try it. But in my experience, D&D players will often only play D&D no matter what, and that will then hold the group hostage in its own way. Oh, okay, Krellin, I won't try Fatal, and I won't try Cinnabar, and I won't try, like, okay, there are a couple of things that I won't try. Yeah, Krellin, we are mind melded. We're mind melded. But for the most part, like, I will try 98% of all. I won't try Rahowa either. Like, there are a bunch of like questionable games, right? But I'll try most anything. But in my experience, you'll have not all D&D players. Hashtag not all D&D players. A lot of D&D players who will not play anything other than D&D. And if you're in a group with them and you want to play with them, you have to play D&D. And if you do not particularly like D&D, especially if you do not like murder, hobo, min-max, dungeon crawls, and that's all that anybody around you will play for years, you can kind of start getting really frustrated about D&D. And, you know, but I think you have to be careful about it. You have to watch out. You have to be careful how you talk about D&D and recognize there's a difference between your personal preference and like some kind of, I mean, you know what I mean? Rissa says, I'm in a GURPS game that was trying to introduce new players, and the guy who was a 30-year-old D&D vet just bounced off it. Yeah, I mean, this is... Oh, I want to play Pendragon too. Yeah, the reason why I talked about D&D there, it has been some days here where the talk has gotten to just bash the game and being just as being just combat garbage. And if you have new people coming in and seeing that, all you're doing is scaring them away from trying anything. And the thing is, I think... I think it's important to talk about the fact that I think it's okay to critique a system, and there's a difference between critiquing a system and bashing a system, right? Like, there are things that I do not like about D&D as a system, and I will tell you what they are. And I think that it's fair to say, like, I don't like the fact that it has a flat probability curve. I don't like that the vast majority of the mechanics are built around combat, and that it's very difficult to do non-combat things but I don't think that's the same thing as bashing D&D, because I think that what bashing D&D is to say that anybody who likes this game is stupid, right? It's a stupid game. Anybody who likes it is stupid. I think those are very different things. I think that's different. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a difference between a critique of something and bashing something. And I think that it is fair to talk about what you don't like about a system. Especially if you're like, okay, this is, especially as long as you're not moralistic about it, right? Like, there are things I don't like, but that doesn't mean that you can't like them. And I think that, like, part of the analysis of the hobby is sort of thinking about those things. And, like, for example, I like GURPS, but there are reasons why people don't like GURPS. For example, there are people for whom the fact that it is, they don't like open character generation, right? They like class and level-based systems because it takes out analysis paralysis. For people that get analysis paralysis, GURPS is a bad system for them. Like, it's a bad system for them. If you have a hard time making choices, it's not a good system for you. That is a bad one. Barontor's wife does not like Roll Under. Some people don't like GURPS because it doesn't have a lot of adventures, and they really like to run off of modules. And so if a system does not have modules, then that is not going to work out for them. Another thing that I don't think is great about GURPS is I think the player base, at least on the forums, get weirdly like... well, there are a couple of things that they do in the forums that I don't like. One, if somebody asks, like, I want to start playing GURPS, what do I do? And then they're going to say, well, you need these 10, 15 books. And they don't need 10, 15 books. They don't need anything more than GURPS Lite. Stop recommending that everybody buy every book. You don't need every book. You just need GURPS Lite at the start. And if you want more, you can get just characters and campaigns. You don't need anything more than that. You and whenever people say in the GURPS forums, oh, you have to have GURPS powers, like you have, I was like, no, they don't have to have that. They don't have to have anything. Calm down. That is a thing. Hrothgar says, my issue with GURPS is not all GURPS players are very elitist. Hrothgar, I'm going to push back on that I'm gonna push back on that, and I'm gonna give you an example of why I think they are not, in the most hilarious way. In the most hilarious way, perhaps. I will push back in a way that I hope will make sense. I don't think they're elitist. I think that they're just inattentive in ways that are really irritating. I could imagine that if Masks was someone's jam, GURP Supers would be far too rigid. Oh yeah, far too rigid, far too complex. There are people who are narrativists who won't like it at all because it's too simulationist. There are people who want really rules light things who will think it's too crunchy. Like, I mean, there are all sorts of reasons why somebody would critique GURPS, and like, I think that's totally fair. You know, that's what I would say. Yeah, GURP Super fans are an older set, so stay away from forums for any game. Those people are nuts. Maybe, but sometimes they're fine. Why would you need GURPS powers if you're not playing superpowered characters? Because some people really believe it's the third core book and you just must have it if you're going to do anything in GURPS. And I was like, calm down, calm down. I think it's a symptom of some players in every system that's been around for a while, unfortunately. So I want to talk about elitism for a moment, because this kind of gets into Volpa's idea about bashing, which I think is where like I'm thinking about. Rissa says, I've played so many things over the years, but my heart systems are COC and GURPS, which is weird to me. Makes sense to me, actually. I find them, I mean, I love those two a lot as well, because there's a lot in common about them. They're different in their own ways but there's a lot in common about them. When you see the full rule book of GURPS, it is a bit intimidating. See, okay, Hrothgar, I actually don't think of that as elitism. I don't think of you have to have these 3 books as elitism, or like these 15 books. I don't think of that as elitism. I think of that as, do you want to know what I think of as elitism? Let me tell you what I think of as elitism. I will tell you. Right, I don't think of what I see in the GURPS forums. I find super irritating, and I really don't like it. I don't like it at all, but I don't think of it as elitism, because rarely do they say GURPS is the best game out of all games in the world, and anybody who plays anything different is stupid. I rarely hear them say other players are dumb, other players are not evolved, other players are not sophisticated, other players don't know what a real and true game is. For me, when I think about elitism, I don't see a lot of elitism coming out of GURPS players. And let me be really fair, I don't see a lot of elitism coming out of that particular generation of RPGs, mainly because I think they were like in the middle. Instead, let's talk about elitism. Let's talk about elitism. I'm going to read you a passage from a game, and this I feel like is exemplary of elitism. If we were going to talk about elitism, I'm going to talk about elitism. And for me, elitism is about a particular kind of moral judgment, like a moral judgment of this, and for me, when I think about like real elitism, Hrothgar says, I read a lot of that fanaticism as if you don't have X, Y, or Z or play a game A, B, or Z, they're not a real RPer. GURPS lets you do all those things, so it's the only game. Maybe this is just my real life experience with GURPS players. So I think there's, so this is interesting. I think there's a difference between, like there are certainly GURPS fanatics, right? But I think it's tricky because there are people who think that GURPS is the game to rule them all, and they think it's the best, they love it, but I rarely get moral judgment off of them, right? I do think there's a difference between elitism and fanaticism, and they may seem different, but for example, the idea that I think GURPS is the best game and everybody should play it because it is like the best game is very different for me than what I'm about to read you. Okay, I'm gonna read you something, and this for me is what I think of as elitism, because here's the thing. that GURPS fanatic that you're talking about, does not want GURPS to be elite, right? They think that it should encompass everything as opposed to be the elite. So I'm going to read you this thing, right? So when I think about elitism, I think about the indie versus I think about the indie game scene that comes out of the Forge. When I think about elitism, that's what I think. But I think about all the manifestos that were written about story games, and I still see it today, where story gamers say things about D&D players that make me very, very uncomfortable. And then I would then see it from sort of some kind of OSR people would also sort of then turn around and sort of do the same thing against story gamers. And I'm going to give you an example of what I mean, what I think of as elitism, and sort of like worrisome. So this is hey Bunny. So I'm gonna just read you a part of there's an RP system called The Window. It is a rules light game. It's about 42 pages total, although actually a little bit less if you take out the table of contents. And it is one of these games. It's from like late 90s, so it's from the rise of the indie game, like the rise of the narrative game systems. Sort of, you know, in that moment that we're sort of getting this sort of rise. I'm going to read you some of. I'm gonna just read you some of what they said, right? I'm gonna read you some of what this. So The Window is one of these. I don't think it's actually a Forge game, although it might. I actually don't know. Anyway, but it's one of these games, right? That is like part of this narrative push that happens in the late 90s. And this is what the game says. This is how it starts the game. This is how it starts. This is the first thing you read when you read this game. The Window is a transparent portal into the imagination, a role-playing system designed with the simple belief that role-playing is about story and character and not about dice and dick-waving. For over 5 years now, The Window has been quietly infiltrating the role-playing community, changing and growing on the progressive edge of the hobby. Many of the people who have started using The Window have long since concluded that the term role-playing system is a contradiction in terms. Structure for structure's sake limits creativity, and too many rules interrupt the narrative flow. What they wanted was a system working as transparently as possible, allowing them to build the story without concerning themselves with empty mechanics or mathematical charts. They also were looking for something that would quickly and seamlessly mold itself around their own stories and settings, a universal set of rules which could fit any genre without being generic and flavorless. That is what The Window strives to be: simple, usable, and universal. There's not a lot to it, admittedly, but that's the whole idea. In the end, The Window is more a system of philosophy than a system of rules. If you share these viewpoints on role-playing, then you'll probably like these mechanics, and if you don't, you probably won't. In addition to all its flighty philosophical bonuses, The Window is also free. You can take this text and do with it as you wish for your personal use, mind you. Make photocopies, download it, print it out, email it to your friends in Australia, whatever you like. Please just give us credit for the work that we have done and include a copyright notice like the one in the credits page. And if you think that The Window isn't worth the photons it's printed on, at least you didn't pay $30 for it like all those dozens of commercial systems collecting dust on your bookshelf. And then there's a whole idea. There's the second page. So I'm going to read you 3 pages because I feel like you just need to have all 3 of these pages. Second page is what it is not, because the first page was what it is. The second page, what it is not. What it is not: a physics engine. If you're the type of person who prefers a system to have rules for any contingency presentable by Newton, then Windows is not what you are looking for. An equipment depot. This is not too bad. I can deal with this. You'll notice that no information has been included on guns, armor, ammo, clothes, vehicles, knives, explosives, or camping equipment Windows characters can own. If you describe your character by the stuff he carries, this page is still bad. If you describe your character by the stuff he carries, you're describing him wrong in the first place. What it is not: a combat system. Combat in The Window is relegated to the status of just another scene, without a whole chapter of complex rules to manage it. In most stories, combat is nothing more than a fast and exciting byline to a larger plot, and it can be handled using the same simple rules for everything else. Every hour spent rolling dice and doing arithmetic could be spent actually role-playing. What it's not: a beginner system. if you have never role-played before, then most of what you're reading right now probably doesn't make much sense. Let us first say that role-playing is not inherently satanic, and that letting your kids do it has a better chance of swelling their creativity than encouraging them to drink blood. Though it's quite possible that a beginner could gather some friends and use the window to run a wonderful game, it's more likely that the lack of structure will be confusing, and the story will disintegrate. If you want to get into role-playing, I certainly encourage it. You'd do better to make a trip to your local gaming store and pick up a second-generation system like GURPS, Champions, Palladium, and AD&D, or the like, which all include brief tutorials for starting players. What it is not, a new idea. The concepts which form the foundations of the window have been thought before by many people in many places. In the mid-'80s, there was a thrust in the UK role-playing zines about the sorts of free-form role-playing that the window espouses, but they were never really realized. Before that, there were almost certainly visionaries quietly practicing the sort of progressive storytelling in closets and smoky back rooms, using AD&D or whatever homegrown system they hacked together from week to week. Many believe that anyone who role-plays for long enough will naturally develop these ideas on their own. The difference is that the window is practical and available right here and right now. It has been play-tested, redesigned, and play-tested, and again, dozens of times by people from all over the world. As role-playing continues to evolve, the window will evolve with it. And then, yes, but Barantor, now we're going to get into the third page, which makes me insane. This is what I think of as elitism. The state of our art. Role-playing as a self-aware form has only been around for about 3 decades. In that time, it's been through 3 distinct generations. These generations can by no means be tied to a specific system release or year. They've grown naturally as the art of role-playing has matured. By this reckoning, the window would be considered a 3rd generation role-playing system. The 1st generation role-playing is dice and maps and little metal figures. This is where it all began. The game master describes the setting room by room, and typically the characters wander around with swords or guns, killing things and accumulating money and even bigger weapons. It's all very childish, but admittedly, it can be fun once in a while. Somewhere along the line, someone, probably lots of someone simultaneously, discovered that the scope of role-playing can be a lot larger. The system started being more universal and the characters more unique. Tactical maps disappeared for the most part, and everyone started focusing on characterization and plot. Out of this perspective exploded a whole slew of new role-playing games, role-playing genres: horror, espionage, romance, Wild West. This 2nd generation of role-playing where most mature role-players fall today. In recent years, or considering further back in some cases, there has been a movement to push role-playing to yet another level. It's 3rd generation. The lines between PCs and NPCs, live action and tabletop, even game master and player are blurring. Card tables covered in dice are giving way to candlelit dinners and dramatic background music. The stories being told are on par with real literature. And players in a game have been replaced by actors in a very intimate drama. These people are interested in constantly trying new structure and experimenting with the potential of the whole role-playing medium. The window has developed out of this atmosphere. So when I think about elitism and role-playing games, this is what I think about. I think about systems and players who explicitly think that their game is more evolved and other people are not evolved, and who really think, it really upsets me, right? I do not like hearing people talk about D&D that way. And I think that back in the day, there was a lot of murder hobos, but that was not the only thing. And that is not a style that I like, but it is also a style that is valid. If people want to murder hobo all day long because what they want to do is just stab some people, good for them. Do you know what I mean? They're not childish. They're not worse role players. They're not bad people. They're not stupid because they like to go and dungeon bash. If you want to dungeon bash, go dungeon bash. Good for you. Do you know what I mean? Doesn't make you a bad person. And, oh, hey, PH, thanks for the cheer. Right. Oh, yeah. Like, I just want you to know that it exists. And like, look, for all I know, the window might be a great system, and I probably would recommend it to people who really like narrative, story-driven role-playing games. But do you know what I mean? Like, it's right. So where were we? Oh, I see how you are. They actually put dick waving in the rules, Carlin. They did. Late 90s, Volpez. I wonder what they deleted in their 42 pages so they can include that paragraph about dick waving, Levi says. Yeah, right? It is so pompous, right? Like, yeah, and it's so pompous, and like, you don't want to be like commercial and a sellout and all that business. It's so terrible. And like, yeah, you do, like, Emeritor says you need a puffy shirt and a pipe to read this. Yes. I don't know if pretentious is the same thing as elitist. See, I think of like elitism as a form of pretension, right? Like, oh, like you plebeian, you would never understand my game because you are just not, you won't get my brilliance. Written by members of the OTO, doest thou shall be the whole of the law, I bet, yeah. And, if you can answer how much rope does your character have, you're a fool. This is what I'm trying to say, right? Thank you, Levi. Talking down to all other sides, yeah. And PH just looked at the website of the window and my eyes hurt. Hey, 90s. Well, person writing that bit, you sold me on the fact that you're an example of elitism, but mostly pretentious. Yeah, we've been better all along. The natural evolution of those lesser systems. Right, so like this is... yeah, Krone says, wait, the third page is worse? I'm already feeling super stabby. Chris is like, the writers seem a bit full of themselves. This is a manifesto, not a rule book. Well, the late 90s was full of a bunch of games. There were all sorts of manifestos all the time. And they're manifesting all over other games. And they were really mean to other systems, and like they weren't making it was terrible. So the window was just Atlanta Knights the RPG. Writing literature with real actors, yeah. I mean, it's just terrible. And look, I like story-driven games, but I don't like that. Like, that is terrible. If you talk that way about games, I'm gonna think you're a jerk, and I'm not gonna have anything to do with you. You know what I mean? That's just terrible. I think I'm never going to try the window, says Toad, because I can't reconcile that opening with whatever value the rest of the document has. Me too. Sometimes you want to murder a hobo because it's nice being powerful and rich and get to stab bad guys because you don't get to do those things in real life. Yeah, and sometimes you have a crappy job and you just want to blow off steam. There is nothing, and that doesn't make you a bad role player. It doesn't make you a bad person. Skexy, we were reading a game called the opening pages for a game called an RPG called The Window, because I wanted to give an example of what I think of as elitism in gaming. Toad says, as an inherent of Ball, I don't use my ethically sourced murder victims for anything but my dark rituals. And Artie Snack says, it's the whole, if you don't see the brilliance of what I'm doing, then clearly you just don't fully understand it. That drives me nuts. Yeah. And right, and then you go to the website and it's all about the 3 precepts. Yeah, and here's the thing. In my experience, a lot of the story-driven games coming out of the Forge had this real elitist attitude that other players didn't understand what real role-playing is. And I will tell you this, GURPS players have annoyed me at times, but never have I experienced people saying, if you don't play GURPS, you don't know what real role-playing is. I've heard people say that I think GURPS is the best system. Cool. You can think that. I've heard people say that, like, but also I think it's like GURPS is not particularly popular right now, so I think it's a little hard to get that space. But rarely have I heard GURPS players do that. And I hate that. Like, I think that kind of elitism is terrible. And I will say, and I'm going to say this, I wonder what Matt Mercer would say to that. Sierra is the best of both worlds if there's indeed separation. Yeah, but I also would say that I have... the window is a single die system trying to roll 6 or lower. The smaller you die, the better you are at the thing. Right, yeah, so like, if you have a D4, you're going to be brilliant at it. The second is my favorite. It is a role player's responsibility to play their role realistically. Oh yeah, Volpez, there's all sorts of stuff in there. There's all sorts of stuff in there. And I will say that I think most GURPS players know that it's a jack of all trades and can do a lot of things well, but they will also note that some things it can't do well, right? Like, I think that there's a way in which Yeah, like yeah. I mean, GURPS players can be irritating about some things, but that particular thing that you get from not just the window, it's a lot of story games I've not seen from a lot of GURPS players. I have seen them think it's the best system in the entire world, but that, and then I will say that this sort of thing that you're seeing out of the '90s, I still see today. Yeah, and actually, a lot of people say that GURPS does super high-powered things poorly, and a lot of GURPS players will say that too. Some GURPS players really like GURPS supers and will say, no, but wait, it can do that. But I know GURPS players are like, oh no, it can't do that. Look, you know what I mean? So I just don't tend to play super high-powered GURPS games. That's not my vibe, so I really can't say. But I know that is a common, like, the idea that GURPS cannot do super as well is something that I hear all the time in GURPS circles. So, like, at least, but anyway, but here's the thing, I want to say this particular attitude coming out of the story indie game scene is one that still exists. It still exists. I was in a forum, I was invited to a Discord, and I was like, sure, I'll go. That could be cool. And when I got there, there were legit people saying that if you liked traditional RPG setup between GM and the only kind of GM that would like a traditional setup between a GM and player is a fascist, and that the traditional setting is abusive, fascist, totalitarian, and nobody who's ethically good would play in that system. Like not today, but I mean, in the last year, in 2019, people were saying that still. Like, so you still have story gamers who are saying these kinds of things, these super judgmental, moralistic kinds of things about other people's tastes. Like, you're not a fascist just because you like a traditional GM PC, GM player setup. Come on, like, what are you doing? Or that, like, you're like the only, like, this is like the only real, like, you know, I mean, come on. But I will also say, Ice Bunny says, and first thing totally different, I didn't get cake at all, but you were a wonderful Othello. Will they cast you as Hamlet too? I have no idea. And no, we're totally going to get to the video game. We're on our way there. Skexy says, and I know it doesn't usually do stylized IPs with their own systems as well as systems built around them. Yeah, and people will also sort of like note that as well. Like, there's like, you know, right, we'll just, that's that. And then, if RPGs were fascist, it'd be easier to schedule a game. Levi, yes. Now that said, it's not like it is only story gamers who do this thing that makes me insane. I've also had OSR people also do it, and but I will get there. There's a whole anti-D&D crowd that doesn't like any RPG owned by a company because they're pushing their anti-capitalist views and their opinions. Yeah. And I think, but I've also seen OSR people do the same thing, where they will turn around and they'll say, oh, those story games aren't even RPGs. They're not RPGs. They're not real RPGs, because you're not a real RPG if you don't have a dice mechanic, if you basically don't have crunch, and who will basically just sort of dismiss all of the sort of indie story gamers as not real gamers, and those games as not real RPGs, and therefore also not valid. And that's just as bad. Like, I mean, and again, I have never, in my experience, there might be out there, I've never experienced a GURPS player say that D&D is not a real RPG. You know what I mean? Like, that is not a thing I've seen. But I get the story gamers saying that D&D is not a real RPG because you don't really role play, because it's just whatever, not enlightened. And I've seen OSR folks say, oh, all those story games are not real RPGs. And so, like, I have seen this argument, and for me, this argument comes off as elitist because it's trying to tell the other group that they aren't even real, that they're not real players, they're morally deficient, they're too stupid to understand brilliance. And that, for me, that's different from my game's the best. Like, you can say your game's the best all you want. Like, that's fine. Or even, I don't like this other game. You can not like that other game all you want too. That's fine. Good for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm never really bothered when somebody's like, I don't like, for example, I did not enjoy my time playing Rifts. That is not a game that I would play again. I found that the balance was really off, and it has like a difficulty creep that I didn't enjoy it. But that's not the same thing as me saying that people who play Rifts aren't real gamers, and that if you play, and that Rifts is not a real RPG, and that if you play Rifts you're childish or whatever. Like that's like, yeah, that's it, you know. That's all. Vulpa says, champions will always have a place in my heart for our game from the late 80s. My techno telepath and the other 9 are us players. God knows how that game went as well as it did with that many people. Oh my gosh. Yeah, RPG versus RPG. Like, it's just like, I'm not into it. Artie Snack says, one true wayism is the quickest way to get me to ignore you and lose all interest in things you're involved with. Yeah. Toad says, I've had this argument for a different medium about The Legend of Zelda not being an RPG when it is in fact an RPG. Oh, yeah, Toad, that also gets me as well. I'm like, oh, come on. Barantor says, oh, for sure, a big section of OSR has sort of a Pope-like love of Gygax, so anything he didn't deem an RPG isn't an RPG. Yeah, and like, I have no time for that either. Like, I have no time for any of those things. One true weigh-in, when you fight about which member of the Wayne family is the true artist. That's a hard one. Like the original Lamentation of Legend of Zelda. The original Legend of Zelda, totally an RPG, but Miyamoto hates stat systems and turn-based combat. But of course, you don't have to have stats or turn-based combat to be an RPG. There are a lot of tabletop RPGs that don't have those things either. You know, whatever. Rift is awesome because the world no longer has to search for the perfect example of great setting crap system. Isn't it more that non-gamers don't get the brilliance of all sorts of games? Yeah, but also, like, I know people who don't like music. You cannot like music, doesn't make you a bad person. Whatever. I know people who have to beat the roll to D6 for, yeah. I played a farmer in Rifts. I wanted him to become a juicer, but the GM didn't let me plan my character ahead, so he had me be something else I wasn't enthusiastic about. Thankfully, the campaign was short-lived because my cousin shot at a nuke with a gun, setting it off. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so like, I think, and like, look, I really do think I think it's totally valid to not like systems and to like systems. And I think it's totally valid to critique systems or explain why you like something or don't like something. And as a matter of fact, I often want to know why somebody likes something or doesn't like something so I can make better recommendations for them. So I can say, oh, all right, so that maybe this is a game, by the way, no, I don't think so. I think you can just, like, there are some people who just don't like music. By the way, we're going to just start the game. We're going to just kind of wander. In the same way, I always feel really uncomfortable when people say, if you don't like dogs, you're clearly a bad person. Some people don't like dogs. It doesn't make them a bad person. Like, you cannot like dogs. It's okay. And, oh, I'm going to ask PH the thing. I wasn't going to ask him a thing. I was going to sort of mention a thing that I thought was really interesting. And I think that there are people who, the thing is, I think there are people who play RPGs who are not creative at all. I think you can play an RPG and be in no way creative. I think you cannot play RPGs and be creative. I don't think playing RPGs makes you a better person than people who don't play RPGs. I don't think it makes you smarter. I don't think it makes you more creative. Like, that's RPG elitism. I just don't think that's true. I mean, in the same way that I don't think that not playing RPGs doesn't make you cooler than people who do play RPGs. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't feel comfortable with a kind of attaching moral, etc., character superiority to liking a particular RPG system or liking RPGs in general. And that makes me very uncomfortable. It makes me very uncomfortable. Tolkien never played RPGs. He invented a language and a history. Yeah. You know, so like, I just don't feel comfortable doing that because I don't like it. It makes me feel uncomfortable. It makes me feel I don't like it. A person sleeping. There's a person sleeping. I'm not going to steal their stuff because they're right here. But I will steal their stuff that's right here, though, because it's in a different room. Yeah, I don't know. These are things that I think about. I think about... So for me, there are GURPS players who are obnoxiously enthusiastic about GURPS. And obnoxiously enthusiastic about GURPS being the best system in the entire universe. But I have... And also, I just don't feel comfortable is the sequel to Trooper's first memoir, which is, that's just how I feel. Like, nobody else has to feel that way if they don't want to. It's fine. Tiger's closed due to virus. When I feel uncomfortable, I take off my pants. Instant fix. Not in public. Hey, you know what? Whatever you want to do. Artie Snack says, I think it is also that different people have different definition of genres. I know there are some games I've seen labeled as RPGs that I would absolutely not consider RPG. That doesn't make them wrong. It just means I have different definitions of certain genres. And also that certain different genre definitions change over time. They're obnoxious fans of every system, yes, but they're often obnoxious in different ways. Like, I found the obnoxious fans of Vampire to be different than the obnoxious fans of D&D. And, like, just obnoxious in different ways, different kinds of obnoxious. And I think part of that has to do with how the game itself is like, I don't know. I'm going to ask Paige the thing. And, like, here's actually another example of something. Oh, they don't have anything for me to steal. Irritating. Oh, you're a person with a name. I should talk to you. So, sorry. So look, this is a thing I'm going to say about old school D&D, and I have talked smack about old school D&D players running around raping people in character all the time. Like, a lot of really awful players, and really just bad experiences, and that being the norm in a lot of different groups I was in. Just a real awfulness. But in my experience at the time, if there are any girls, I want to do them. Yeah, it was so widespread that it was made fun of in that particular radio play, right? Like, that radio play was there for a reason. Like, it was not like this was not my experience only. But what I would say is, even though a lot of those D&D, like, and those D&D players, they were toxic, they were awful, they would refuse to play other games, like, they were really frustrating. But back then, they didn't say what OSR people said. They didn't say, you're not a real RPG if you don't, like, they didn't say that Tunnels and Trolls wasn't a real RPG. They didn't say that RuneQuest wasn't a real RPG, or that Call of Cthulhu wasn't a real RPG, and that you weren't really RPing if you played Call of Cthulhu. They were just like, fine, play Call of Cthulhu. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so, I mean, they were toxic and frustrating. Like, their obnoxious players were obnoxious for real in ways that were astounding. But they didn't do that. They did bad things. I'm not saying but so, like, my point is that I feel like obnoxious fans are different of different systems. And that's interesting. Like, for me, a lot of the really obnoxious GURPS players that I know are obnoxious internally. Like, they do they insist that you have to buy every book, which is stupid because that's just not true. And I think that's dumb, and I think it's counterproductive, and they need to stop it. But two, I find that obnoxious GURPS players tend to be of the you're not playing GURPS correctly variety. Right? They tend to be of a, oh, you like, what skill level are you have to, like, they tend to be very rules. It's not even rules lawyery. It feels like rules lawyering, but it's not really rules lawyering because it's about their interpretation of the rules. So it's like a kind of a sense of, like, my interpretation of GURPS, because GURPS is modular and there are multiple ways to do it, is the right way to do it. So they get kind of rules lawyery, and they get rules lawyery, and they also get, my interpretation of the rules is the proper way to play. That's how they so they tend to be, they tend to spend a lot of their time attacking other GURPS players, is my experience about obnoxious GURPS players. they spend a lot more time doing internal struggling than they do, because like I tend to find that they want new GURPS players. They want people to play GURPS. They're a little bit evangelists, right? GURPS players can be evangelists, which you might find obnoxious, but that's not this. Evangelist is not the same thing as elitist, and so they tend to be nicer to new players than they tend to be to current GURPS players. I find that GURPS players who are obnoxious are similar to Fate players who are obnoxious, in that they both tend to have very strong ideas about what is not exactly the same, but they're very similar in obnoxiousness. They both tend to have very strict ideas about what the proper way to play is, and then will tell you that you're playing wrong. And I don't know whether or not other generic systems also do this. Like, I don't know if this is... Oh, actually, you know what, PH? I did see a bunch of people say that's not how you play Monster Hearts. I did see that. It might be a symptom of style. Like, maybe this particular way of being weird about rules is particular to generic systems, whereas with games that have meta plot, I tend to see lore people. Like, I see people being weird about lore with Shadowrun and Vampire way more than I do about rules, whereas with GURPS and Fate, I see people being really weird about rules more than about lore. Yes. Oh, I'm totally gonna talk to Laura. I'm talking to her. We're talking. And then what I've noticed with Monster Hearts, which I think is interesting, is that it's not as much rules or lore. And I imagine that now I'm interested to see if this is what happens with story games, like the kind of new narrative of story game things a bit more. If story games, because there was that whole thread about how people were like, Matt Mercer was not playing Monster Hearts properly. It wasn't queer enough. It didn't do this. It didn't do this. And as I was reading this thread, I did engage a little bit, but because what I wanted an answer to this question, which was people were critiquing Critical Role for doing Monster Hearts but not doing it right. And what that meant was that it wasn't queer enough, and Monster Hearts has to be queer. It wasn't tortured enough, and like there were these things that were like, it felt to me GM style things, right, where they're like so yeah, right, but like the idea that like, oh, in Monster Hearts there was too much of a plot in Monster Hearts, and you're not supposed to have plot in Monster Hearts. Monster Hearts is not intended to have plot. Monster Hearts is intended to be super queer. Monster Hearts, right? And there are a lot of people who are doing this. And what I noticed about the critique of Monster Hearts is that they were saying the designer intends for you to play it with this style. And if you don't play it in this style, you're not playing it as the creator intended it. And so you should not be playing Monster Hearts. And that seems to be something that feels to me like a thing that could be very... prevalent as a style of obnoxious player for that kind of game, because those kinds of game... but the thing is about Monster Hearts is that I think that Monster Hearts, like a lot of the newer indie story games, are auteur-driven games, where it's about the one designer, and the designer has a vision, and that the point is to play with this vision. And like, because I asked Avery, I said, if people don't play it this way, the way you intend it, do you think they shouldn't play the game? And her response was yes. They should not play this game unless they play it the way I intend it, basically, was a response. Which is, because I wanted to know, is that your position? Because I know a lot of games, different games, not games like that, are like, this is how we wrote it, but play it how you want to play it, right? Like, there are games whose model is, this is what I did, but you do your thing. As a matter of fact, actually, that's what... Matt Mercer said. Matt Mercer was talking about Wildmount in the Q&A. They're like, well, how does this work? What is this? And he's like, well, there's certain things I deliberately left open because I want you to be able to decide how you want to do it in your game. I left some things open on purpose. But a lot of the story games are sort of auteur driven, where it's about the auteur creator. And they like, I mean for this game to be doing to do these things and to work this way thematically. And I think that what an obnoxious player in each, I think that like, well, I think every game has an obnoxious player. What that obnoxious player is more likely to be like is going to be different based on the kind of game it is. I think that, and no, I'm totally playing the game. So does that make any sense? So like, I think that it's true that everybody has obnoxious players, but I think what those obnoxious players look like are different. Like obnoxious GURPS players are different from obnoxious vampire players, and I know them both. Obnoxious story game narrativist players and indie game players are really different from obnoxious OSR players. They're just different. They're not the same. They're obnoxious in different ways. They do different things. So I think that it's interesting to think about like, well, why does this group have this kind of obnoxious player and this group have that kind of obnoxious player? You know, right? Like, please describe how what? Please describe how like, but like part of my point, like, but like I think that Fate and GURPS obnoxious players, so like both tend to be, I've already described it. Fate and GURPS players tend to be internal. They tend to say that fellow players are not interpreting the rules correctly. They tend to be really big on no, you should not be running the rules this way. The proper way to play Fate is to do this in terms of rules mechanics. The proper way to play GURPS is like, if you have like, you should not be having people with stats that are over 15 if you're a part of the cult of stat normalization. Right, you know, you have to do it this way. There's like right, like it's like they tend to be like, if you don't follow the Book of Hanzo for Fate, you're doing it wrong. If you don't follow this sort of rules thing, you're doing it wrong. For Fate and GURPS, I notice a lot. I don't know about Rifts, but I'd be interested to know if Rifts also tends to have that. Whereas OSR people tended to be, if you aren't doing sort of crunchy, you're not playing a real game. Like they would tend to say things like, story games are not real games, you're not a real role player. Having a very narrow idea of what a real role-playing game is, and anybody else is not really role-playing. Whereas a lot of the indie games people were like, if you are not doing narrativist games, you're not really role-playing either. Like, so like they're sort of working on what is a real role player. I find Shadowrun, I'm just repeating myself, I'm finding Shadowrun and vampire players who are obnoxious are often obnoxious in terms of lore. There are a lot of lore obnoxious people, although vampire also sometimes get like amateur theater obnoxious people who are like, I'm an actor, and I'm real role playing that way. But like I don't like, don't you know the Prince of Chicago is really so and so, or but don't you know that really this is how this thing, like a lot of lore stuff would happen with meta plot heavy games, sort of obnoxiousness. D&D has a lot of obnoxious rules lawyers. Do you suppose Jared Leto used to play vampire? I do, Krellin. I would not be surprised at all. I think some games at least probably have also different kinds of obnoxious players, especially if they're large games. Oh, I totally think that's also true, Javai. Laura wants to tell you about where Braxton is, but Trooper is ignoring her. I'm good. Plot lore people is why I homebrew everything. Yeah, and so I think that there are sort of different types of obnoxious players, and I think that some systems probably will be less likely to give you this type than that type. That's all. But that said, I actually do think it's okay to critique games, but I think it's how you critique them, or praise games, but it's also how you praise them. Like, it's good to say, my game The Window is awesome, and I think it'll be really fun if you like narrative games. I think it's not cool to say that my game is more an advanced game of RPing and all the other ones are childish, and my game is great because really it's the only game for real role players, and maybe one day people will come across and evolve into my game. Like, that's not a good way to talk about your game, because what you're doing is you're attacking players, right? Like, up your game if you want. Don't attack players that way, unless they're running around raping NPCs all day long, or they're like homophobic or racist. But then attack that behavior. Do you know what I mean? Like attack that behavior. That's all. And you know, and you can like critique a game by saying like, I don't like these mechanics. I think these mechanics tend toward this, which is a thing that I don't like, as opposed to, if you play this game, you're a fascist. Like, again, right? Or only stupid people like this game. Like, come on. So, hey, I've been looking for Braxton. Have you seen him?
Braxton? I've never even heard of a Braxton. Got nothing for you, sorry.
Oh. That seems weird. Oh, I am totally going to ask. It's not really asking. It was a thought. A lawyer's a profession you can play in Warhammer. Here you go. A team of lawyers get a wish. What do they use it on? And how do they phrase it? And you could also play a lawyer in GURPS or COC. It's true. You have ascended to the third tier of the third evolution, the third son of a third son. It was foretold, tri-told, and now you are Uber Gamer. Zweihander. I wonder if Cthulhu will obey the restraining order I have on him. That's a good question. Let's persuade.
Oh, in that case, he told me he was delivering to this house in the ruins south of town. Whole family had fallen sick, and he had some meds on hand. So maybe look for him there.
Thanks.
We're in agreement that this Braxton is probably dead, right?
Yeah, probably. I'm just going to finish this room so that I know that I actually did it. Out for deliveries, dropping a care package off with the Mathers in the old ruins south of Cellar Bay. Be back soon. Laura, I know you're reading this. Stay out of my things. Oh, you're right. I probably should up the game volume now. That's fair. So, PH. This is a thing that I wanted to bring up that I've been thinking about. No. It's more than that.
What's that smell coming out of Celia's apartment?
So now that we've
Probably whatever she bought from
explored that, we can now actually walk, which is really all I need to do. Did we? I feel like we didn't go in here, maybe? So look, PH, I'm thinking about this conversation that I've been having with, it's come up twice now, actually. And this is interesting to me. It was a conversation with Polished Cryptid. And I walked through a virtual door and I forgot what I was doing. No, I would never tell you that your love of stroopwafels is wrong. If you don't love stroopwafels, then you don't love them. That's okay. You're not a bad person for not liking stroopwafels. You can like them or not like them. I do not judge you for your personal taste. As long as you're not harming people, you do you. Okay.
Whoa, by the stars, my poor heart. I just about pissed my jumpsuit.
I just said hi. I'm like... I didn't mean to startle you.
Most people don't.
We're used to folks swooning at our feet.
Yeah.
You don't gotta be embarrassed.
A healthy survival reflex is nothing to be embarrassed about.
We may love them in ways that shall not be named.
This place is enough to try anyone's nerves.
How's that?
Where should I begin? With the oversized mantisaurs? Or perhaps the rap spewing acid at our walls? The board was right. This place isn't fit for human habitation. Now it's
Whatever. I want to talk to PH right now. So, PH, there's a thing that Polished Cryptid is thinking a lot about that's on her mind quite a lot. She's mentioned it twice. She mentioned it in the talk that I was with her in, and then I went to a different tavern talk and she talked about it again. And I'm having a cookie. And we were talking about diversity in general, diversity, and in gaming. And she talked about an element of diversity that she doesn't think that people talk about enough, that she would like to see more of that she doesn't see. And that is players for whom English is not their first language. And she's like, she'd like to see more players for whom English is not their first language because she doesn't really see that. And I was thinking, I was like, oh, PH though. PH is a player for whom English is not his first language. JF, I think, I think French was his first language. And I was like, oh. And then I was like, well, I wonder if we just happen to have more in our particular. Yeah, most players are US, Canada, UK. But there are a lot of people in the US who don't have English as their first language either, though. Oh, no, I was thinking about Peach because he's Dutch. That's why. Spread Nutella on a burn victim. Toad. I've personally played with a lot of people from Germany, Scandinavia, but those aren't the ones seeing mainstream success. So, also Wandering DM, right? Wandering DM is clearly not an English first language player as well. Our Sunday team is Austrian, so they're out there. And I see more streams in Twitch in other languages. Are most RPGs written in just English? It depends on your market. Japan, Brazil, Germany, they've got a bunch of stuff. People with invisible disabilities, yeah. So here's another thing that I was thinking about. If you look, and Sweden also has several RPGs. Yeah, they're out there. But here's what I'm thinking about second languages. And I talked about this a little bit in a different moment, but I've been looking at Sully Gnome, which is a place that tracks. Here, I'll do it right now, so I can actually give you the data. Look, I am playing right now, so don't think I'm not. I am, because the game is visible. So, all right. So Sully Gnome does analysis on Twitch. Does Twitch analytics. So I'm gonna search for Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and... Did I spell that wrong? Dungeons and Dragons. All right. So I look over the last 30 days, and I look for the top streams in the last 30 days. I'm totally playing. So if you look at the top streams for the last 30 days, right, in terms of, let's say, peak viewers, for RPGs. Now, this is actually really interesting because it depends on what genre. For Dungeons and Dragons, the most popular streams are mostly in English, right? So, like, if you look at the top 20 under the category Dungeons and Dragons, you get there's a Korean stream at number 6. There is a French stream at number 9. There's a Spanish stream at 15 and 16. A Portuguese stream at 18, right? But if you do a search for tabletop RPGs as the category, I know that none of you all care about this, but really, this is really interesting. Tabletop RPGs. If you go to the tabletop RPGs category, and then you look at for like peak viewers, all of a sudden it looks really different. The number one stream under the tabletop RPGs category is in Portuguese. Number 3 is in French. Number 5 is in Italian. Number 6 is in Portuguese. Polish is number 8. Portuguese is 9 and 10. French is 11. French is 15. Polish is 16. Portuguese is 17. German is 18. Russian is 19. French is 20. So if you look, and then there's another, and then 21 is Russian, 22 is Russian, 23 is Japanese. Right. So if you look at the tabletop RPG category, you get a huge diversity of language. Like the number one stream with 29,000 peak viewers on average, 29,000 peak viewers, 22,000 on average is in Portuguese. And those are great numbers. Even, right? I mean, that's Yeah, I did not skip a lot of slots at all. Don't try to convince me that my boredom is fun. So, what's really interesting to me is that, So what's fascinating to me is that when people say, "Oh," and I think this is an important thing about sort of like sometimes what you say says a bit more about yourself than it does about the state of the world. When people say, "Where are all the games, the streamed RPGs that are not in English?" I was like, well, actually, there are clearly a whole bunch of them, but because you only speak English, you are not looking them out. Do you know what I mean? It's like to say that they're not like, you know, we just don't have diversity of language. That's what's going on. Actually, that's not true. We do. There's actually a whole lot. Hey, J.A. Pasco. There are a lot of streams with a huge viewership, great viewership in a lot of languages. But if you don't actually seek them out, you end up get this confirmation bias where the only ones that you watch are in English. So then you think that the only streams are in English, but that's actually just not true. Do you know what I mean? So like that's that I think is interesting. So I will tell you what, I really think I should watch some German streams. I think that'd be really good for me. And it would help my German. And maybe I could be on a stream in German. Wouldn't that be fun? Rissa says the same thing. We're psychically linked. Right? Oh, hey, Rissa, I should tell you. Oh my gosh. There's an RPG stream that I found that's doing Call of Cthulhu, and I think in Berlin. So if you want some Call of Cthulhu in German, it's Schmetterling. Maybe Schmetterling TV or Schmetterling. Anyway, I think I can find it and I can put the link in Discord. I haven't had time to watch, but maybe that's what I'll do now that Critical Role is on vacation. Maybe I'll watch that. We don't have many successful English TTRPG streams with second language people in them. I thought Germans all spoke English with a Cambridge accent. Depends on whether or not they like a lot of American media. Vulpus says, but I'm the only one that matters. But your German is way better than mine. Trooper, you did a game in another language. Piglet, oh, that's true. Butterfly, yes. Berliner Deutsch, das ist nicht so leicht zu verstehen. I don't know if they actually were speaking with a Berliner accent or if it's just set in Berlin. They're using the Weimar Berlin book. So Thursday stream will be Trooper watching a German stream and providing commentary. So look, here's a thing about PH. Here's a question I have. Here's a thought that I have about popular streams with second language people in them. I don't know if we know, because the Weimar book is amazing, Rissa. I don't know if we know, and because I was thinking about invisible disabilities, right? Because this was one of the things we were talking about with Polished as well, that she's like, I don't want us to like be forced for people to out themselves if they're neuroatypical, but it's not obvious, or be like, oh, but like you may not see it, but I have this, right? And I was thinking about PH, if like I know that English is not your first language, but I think a lot of people who see you game probably wouldn't know that. You know what I mean? Because, you know, and JF, I think people wouldn't know that the English wasn't his first language. And so I wonder about when we say we want people from English is not their first language, do what we mean is we want people with accents? Because there are people for whom English is not their first language, but they don't have accents. Is what we want as a performance of linguistic diversity rather than actual linguistic diversity. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, because I'm just saying. I know a bunch of people, especially Scandinavians, who you know, you just wouldn't know that English is their second language because they don't have a big old accent on them. So I do think about that. So anyway, I don't know what I think about it, but I'm just like pondering it. Trooper, you should have waited to talk to this guy until you had per body. Oh. Germans love American TV, but they all talk damn German in the shows. He didn't notice. No, I totally noticed. I noticed it. I feel like I'd be able to tell for most people. My aunt said I speak German with a Danish accent. Oh, hey, interesting, Ice Bunny. If nothing counts until Trooper notices, does anything ever count? I notice. I try to. Oh, this cook is part of Parvati's quest. Oh, huh. Is it? I don't think I have a quest with her right now. Why did you decide to stay in the first place?
Sanjar, of course. He had all these
Do I?
glorious ideas about how you run Monarch.
Do I need to come back here?
Rest periods between every work shift. No shift more than 10 hours long. It all sounds wonderful, until you realize there's only a few centimeters of repurposed steel between you and the deadliest creatures in the galaxy.
I think he is coming to that fancy chef hat, Volus. I'm from California, I have a newscaster accent. Well, this is actually... I see you, Volpus. I notice you. I mean, after 17 years, a bit Danish does rub off on me. When I lived in Scotland, people tended to think I was American. They could hear I wasn't British, but I sounded native enough that that American made the most sense for them. Mm. Oh, she wants to set up a date with Junai. Oh. Seems you've got a real negativity problem.
I'm not even finished. Add that to the supply shortages, thanks to being cut off by the board, and I dare say we're no better off than the lowliest Spacer's Choice enclave.
Look,
This makes me
you
think of
might
another
not be
thing.
better off, but I can tell you, it can always be worse. Try celebrating what you've got.
I see you stuck around.
I'm off for the moment.
Lucky you.
Thanks. I'm gonna check my journal. Companion quest. Like, my only companion quest right now is The Empty Man, which is about Vicar Max. I actually don't think I have that. I want to negotiate, search the house, toss ball betting, science weapon. Yeah, it does not look like I actually have a Parvati quest. It doesn't look like I have one. Yeah, it doesn't look like I have one. I don't think I have one at the moment. I just...
Did you?
Yeah, maybe I do need to talk to Parvati. I talk to her every time.
Good day to you.
I really do. Every time we get on the ship, I chat with her. I always try to have like a nice conversation. No! I'm playing the Outer Worlds wrong. I'm a bad person. Only bad people don't. No, she was. Yeah. So I think about, but I also I was thinking also about. So I think it's a weird thing, but I'm thinking about the difference between like wanting different accents on display versus people who actually are from have different linguistic backgrounds. Those seem to be different things. But I'm also. Did you see something? Hey, what's that? Hey, what's that? What's that? Does that seem weird to you? We're gonna have to go back over there, I think. Just a side note. We're gonna have to go back over there.
You'll have to show me how to do that.
But I feel like I should touch this. Yeah, Levi, I feel like I should touch the spark shower. Like, I feel like there's a spark shower that I should be touching. Right? That seems like a good idea. Don't you think? Like, I think so. Like, spark showers seem like the kind of thing that you want to touch, or like maybe lick a battery, maybe. I just feel like there are a lot of options going on here that... All right, here I am. We need to go back over there and see if there's like a touching of spark showers that we can do. That's what we need to do. Woo! Ouch. Well, clearly I didn't need to do that. But no, I totally need to go over there. We need to run and jump on things, everybody. We need a little bit of running and jumping. And I just feel like that is true. I'm just barring all these things permanently. It's fine. Okay, so we're gonna do it. Workbench, whatever. I don't care about that. I care about running and jumping. I'm just saying looting does not always equal murder. Just like jumping doesn't always involve injury. It just sometimes involves injury. So I was thinking about accents just for this moment, and I think I can probably do this without sprinting. Oh, hey. Talmadge Care. That's probably a person I should talk to, huh?
Wow, nice work.
Thanks. Awesome. I think we're watching a different stream. I haven't murdered a lot of people. You know, I haven't murdered like everybody. Woo! Oops. I fell off. I think that's fine. I think it's okay that I fell off. I think we'll be all right. Did I just advance a quest? Really? Huh. Really? Oh, Herrick's handiwork. Oh. Huh. Convince Velma to negotiate. Huh. Oh, good for me. I think the question of whether accents are sufficient or whether what we need is people without perfect English isn't in an English stream. Yes. Or perfect German or German stream. Right. Yes. Oh, I acquired a stash of money from his balcony. Oh, I just stole his money. Oh, well, that does happen. I do sometimes steal people's stuff. That's a true statement about me. I often steal people's stuff. And yeah. Whoops. Well, we'll work it out.
The body's in the first apartment on the right. So much blood.
I suppose. Oh, hey, hold on a second.
Feels like these walls shrink a little every day.
I'm not getting what I want. Is there like
Do
a...
you ever get tired of being cooped up here?
Hey,
What happens? Even the
there's a
top
Sparky
scores
thing and I don't seem to be able to get access to it. We need to find our way into the Sparky thing. That's right there. Oh, it looks like it's not a room. We can't find our way into the Sparky thing. That's so disappointing. Damn the man, but also Crescix rule everything around me. Cream, get the money. Yeah. Hello. I'll just steal that while we're here. So I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about this is like not about English as a second language at all, but I've often been somewhat frustrated by the lack of accent diversity in...
Well.
Hello.
The only new folk I ever see in town are
On
sublight runners
in the
from
media in
Baldwin.
general.
But you don't look like one of Catherine's. What can I get you?
I'd like to trade.
All sales are final, unless you threaten me. I'm kidding. Don't threaten me.
I'll think about it. So what I was thinking about was how... this is what I want. We're going to sell all that. So what I was thinking of, and let's repair. I don't have anything to repair. I think I'm fine. I was the only non-native English speaker in one of my boyfriend's games, and some have been not nice because they didn't get that you could be fluent in 3 languages. And if you count tested, then it's 4. Yeah, so I wonder about that, but I also think about the fact that, for example, you don't see people with Southern accents in media a lot. Like, I love that Dot has a Southern accent. That makes me so happy because I don't see a lot of regional accents, you know, and I'd like more. But I also wonder about I know, hooray for Dot, right? But I also think about where people are streaming from, and if someone does have a Southern accent, they're going to be that character. Yeah. And yeah, and so like, I was just like thinking about that, and how unusual of Jezza willingly giving away items. I assume Stream of Tears is falling right as well. Oh, what is this? Restricted stock. Why not? Why can I not have that? Well, fine. I don't care. I don't need that anyway. Whatever. See that? They've got all this restricted stuff they say I can't have, which feels oppressive. I don't know why. What's up with that? Yeah, okay, that's fair. Fine. I'll just get better standing. It's all right. I'm not even. It's fine. Whatever. Apparently, they don't think my money's good enough. Why are you freaking out?
Sir, please, I need your help.
Okay.
I can pay.
Oh, I did not mean to point a gun at you. Capitalism the game? Never.
Oh, thank you for stopping. Everyone acts like nothing's wrong, like my little boy isn't at risk of being eaten by some vile creature. Please, you have to help me get my little Tucker back. He ran away and is going to get himself killed. Oh, I just know a raptidon is melting him with acid as we speak.
Calm down, take a deep breath, then tell me what happened. What's going on?
Don't you tell me to calm down. I promised my boy I'd protect him for always. But how can I keep him safe if he's run away? He ran out into the wilderness a few days ago. I warned him about the raptidons, mantisaurs, and marauders, the toxic sulfur pools, and poisonous plants, but he didn't listen. Please, won't you go and find my boy?
Why would Tucker run away?
He's been pining for an adventure. Says he's tired of living cooped up behind the walls. But he doesn't understand how dangerous it is out there.
That's fair.
I warned him. A raptidon would snap him up first chance it got. I just know one's ripped his arm off and is gnawing on his sweet little fingers.
Details? All right.
He should have listened to his mama. I promised I'd keep him safe here with me.
Where would he have gone?
He's been listening to those awful broadcasts that the iconoclasts put out. I begged Sanjar to put a stop to them, but did he? No! And now I just know my boy's run off to Amber Heights. That is, if a manta queen hasn't spooled out and eaten his entrails for breakfast already.
Okay, but no, where's Amber Heights?
That old settlement, southwest of Stellar Bay.
Okay.
I don't know which is worse, the thought of my son shacking up with the nutty iconoclasts, or that he never made it. Sprats could be nesting in his rotting body alongside the road as we speak.
Yeah, no, Levi's correct.
Or maybe marauders got him, pulled all his teeth out, crushed him into their drugs, and made him snort them. Oh, the things that could happen to my sweet baby.
Wow. Okay. Well, no. But what were you saying about the iconoclasts?
Those low-life degenerates leading innocent boys into a life of danger. Oh, they make it sound so exciting, like it's noble to risk it all out there, fighting for the greater good.
Not sure I'm seeing the problem here.
You're one of them, aren't you? You should be ashamed of yourself.
I'm thinking her sweet baby is like 40 years old.
Your mama would be.
Rissa, I'm thinking like 40.
How noble is it to worry your loved ones? Not at all, I say. But still they preach their sermons of anarchy and rebellion to anyone who'll listen. If they weren't holed up in Amber Heights, I'd knock them all upside the head. You
know what? I will help you find your son. Don't worry about it.
Thank you.
It's
I
fine.
know he'll be safe now that someone's able to fetch him home.
But
You look for him in Amber Heights, you hear? It's down the road southwest of town. I'm sure he made it that far. I just know it.
I'm just not convinced he's gonna come home.
Find any of
That's
them
all.
iconoclasts indoctrinating my boy. You punch them in the mouths. Tell them what I think of them luring little boys away from their mamas. It's immoral.
Well, all right. You've got strong feelings about all this, I can tell. We will see what's up with your son. I've got no guarantees, but I will look for him. Now, have I done a full 360?
Wrap mask and canid eyes, right here.
I feel like I haven't. Oh, sorry. Well, it is known that playing Raptidons and Ravens with a group of fellow youths leads to a life of anarchy and other vices. That's true.
Hello, stranger.
Hello.
Can I interest you in Raptidon tongue? Or maybe some canid toenails?
Oh, I know you.
You look like a man who's looking for some mostly fresh animal parts?
Let's talk about Celia.
Huh. I haven't seen her in a few days, but I've been meaning to ask her how that Raptidon acid is working out. I hope it's working okay, because no one else really seems interested in this stuff.
Would you consider going on a date with her? I'm just gonna be direct.
Wait, I see what's going on. She put you up to this so she could get a discount,
No?
Don't get me wrong. I'd like to give her a discount. She's a real fine lady. Always talks nice and slow, so I understand. But if I give her one, I won't hardly make a bit, on account of no one else having any use for Raptidon tongues.
Look. Persuade. Don't take my word for it. Spend some time with her. I promise her she won't ask for a discount.
You sound pretty sure.
Oh yeah, I am.
And she is awful nice. Okay, I'll do it. Once her shift ends, we'll go someplace nice. Maybe to Chef Raymond's.
Great. I'm glad that all worked out. That was easy. I feel like people just need to learn to be a little bit more assertive, but it is what it is. What is this place? Oh, I know this place. This is where our heads of state are. So I feel like we've done the full 360, but we do have some... I am the matchmaker, make me a match. Yacht Club. Hello, Bennett.
In case I did not impress it upon you before, I'd like to enjoy my solitude.
Whatever, NPC who won't talk to me. Whatever. So I just need to check out a couple of things, I think, as we're wandering around here. Yeah, so oh, hello. That apparently isn't the way to go. I'm trying to go to the betting place.
I hear those rich people in Byzantium.
So yeah, I don't know. I think one has to sort of wonder about why one wants diversity. Do you want it because you value it, or do you want it because it makes you look good?
Hey there, Felix.
Hello.
What can I do for you?
I found this betting slip in a dead man's apartment. Any idea what might have happened to him?
Poor Isaac. I was wondering why I hadn't seen him in a few days. I'd really like to help. Isaac was a sweet fellow, even if he did have terrible teeth.
What did his teeth have to do with anything?
They were pretty distinct. Monarch doesn't exactly have a thriving dental industry, and Isaac seemed to get stuck in all sorts of bad habits, dietary and otherwise. Sometimes he'd drink purpleberry punch by the liter, other times he'd keep betting on a losing team. Started owing the wrong people money.
So who did he owe?
I don't know for sure, but I saw Elijah and his buddies pushing Isaac around. They're hooligans from Fallbrook. They sweep into town, drop supplies off behind the warehouse, and spend the rest of their stay getting rowdy over tossball games. They usually loiter in the alley behind the yacht club. They're not allowed in the bar anymore. I bet you anything Isaac ran into trouble with one of them.
Thanks for the tip.
Mr. Sanjar will be pleased to hear about it when you're done. I know he gets fed up with the Fallbrook bullies, but there's not much he can do.
Oh, there are things I can do? I've got a friend of mine with her who likes to hit people with tossball sticks, like real hard, like hardcore, so I feel like there's a lot I can do. I'm just noting it. So do you think we can talk to... Hold on. We're gonna save. We're gonna save right now. We're just gonna save at this moment. It's just a thing we're doing. We're gonna overwrite that save. So we're gonna find out about that dead guy, but while we're here, we might as well just talk to Velma. I would like them to work out their differences. Let's I don't know how this is gonna work out though.
I'd give you a friendlier welcome, but I'm up to my elbows in salt tuna guts.
Sure, let's talk about Caleb.
Unless you're here to tell me he's agreed to do his job again, I've got nothing to say.
Why can't you give him his pay increase? Caleb says they need a raise to keep up with the prices around here. They're hard workers, aren't they? They deserve some compensation for that. I'm gonna say that one.
hard workers? They turn dials and flip switches. The machines do all the actual work. Caleb and his crew have it better than anyone else around here, I'll tell you that much.
Well, but Caleb says they need a raise to keep up with the prices around here.
Tell him to complain to Catherine in
Thanks, Void Smoker.
Not me. Sublight's demanding more money for the same contracts, which means we're all in the same boat. If
Thank you,
Caleb
Void
wants
Smoker.
to keep this job, he'd better get back to it. I'm about ready to hire Sublight contractors at this rate.
I want to persuade 100. Void Smoker, I had so much fun last night. Are you willing to meet Caleb halfway?
For running me ragged while he takes an extended leave at the bar? Not on your life.
This is what I want. I want persuade 100. Oh, hey, you can go and find some actual images of Goering. He's creepy looking. Really? Should I just blackmail her? All right. I saw your accounts. You've been skimming money for years. You can afford to pay more, and that's true.
Yeah, and did you miss the part where I'm working doubles to cover for everyone who decides not to show?
I did notice that.
Ironic, isn't it?
I'm the one who keeps this place running. That money's mine, one way or another.
I don't want to intimidate her right here, even though I can. Like, I could. Okay, look. So here's where I'm at in my mindset at this moment. Besides being interested in linguistic diversity in RPGs. I need to watch some German RPGs. So here's the thing. If I hit intimidate, I will probably be able to force her to do it, but I want to reason her into it. I don't want to just go immediately to the intimidate because I feel like I want her to come to it. I feel like intimidate's the way to go, but we're going to just do this.
Fine.
Oh.
Tell Caleb he and his team can have their raise, but I need them back here immediately. Something else on your mind?
Sweet. You said that Braxton had been stealing drugs?
Stealing's such a nasty word. Let's call it skimming. And yeah, let's just say I've noticed the sterile biotics we use for the fish would get used a little faster on Braxton's shifts.
It's awfully nice for you not to say anything.
We're not like those corporate towns where you get fined for sleeping on the wrong side of the bed. Besides, the Spacer's Choice stuff we use is cheap enough. And Braxton knows how to get the Saltuna, fat and mostly tumor-free.
I'll talk to you later. I got Caleb a raise and I stole his life savings, but he doesn't need his life savings now that he's got a raise. So like, that seems right?
Huh?
No? I feel like I need a 100% persuade. I need that? I feel like I need that so hardcore. So we're gonna go to this bar, right? We're going to the bar? Is this our life? Hello? I think we're going to the bar. The yacht club? Y'all, also, this is the yacht club. I think we should probably go and talk.
You ever think about what goes on in a marauder's head?
No.
No, they're crazy.
But they still manage to feed themselves, dress themselves, work together. Gotta be something to that.
All I need to know is that they're on the other side of that wall.
I'm sure someone said the same thing in Amber Heights.
I gotta find a new drinking buddy.
I do wonder, actually. Hey, Bennett.
In case I did not impress it upon...
Fine, whatever. You don't want to talk to me. Whatever. I don't care. I want to get to the back end of the yacht club. I feel like...
What was the score on last night's game? I missed it.
Oh.
Last night's game?
Yeah?
Backers 16, Darlings 3. How do you like them mock apples, Max?
Here we go.
Since when have Cleo's Darlings played so poorly in a consecutive sweep? You wouldn't be pulling my leg in order to win our bet, would you?
I think Bennett is your contact if you're here on behalf of the board.
Scripture tell you that everything happens by the will of the universe.
Oh. I don't... Hi, everybody. Hey, let's just talk to these folks. Hi.
Who the fuck are you? This
Wow.
ain't your alley.
Do you own this alley? I'm just wandering around looking at alley. Look at this alley. It seems so nice. I'm not going to stand by the explosive thing, though. It's a gang. Maybe I do need a hot chick in my arm for Bennett to care.
Hey, what are you doing here?
This is our secret alley.
Doesn't feel that secret.
Berta already pissed by those crates to market.
Oh, well, look, I know you murdered Isaac.
Listen, that purple-toothed twerp had it coming. Not that anyone has proof. And not that it's any of your business.
Oh, this is an intimidate moment. I'm making it my business.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What are you saying exactly?
Intimidate again. You've bullied people long enough. If you know what's good for you, you'll clear out and never come back.
Wow. Most of the pencil pushers around here cave as soon as you look at them funny. Fine, we're going. This ain't worth it.
Should I have murdered them? Do you think I should have murdered them? I wonder.
Beat it.
I just want to...
Carry on.
Well, I didn't murder them. I wonder if I should have. I should ask my priest.
I find myself marveling at the complex simplicity of the Fibonacci spiral. I'm sure you know what that's like. Something vexing you, Captain?
No, it's fine. I'm murder hoping wrong. If you have to ask, then probably... If you have to ask if you should have murdered them, the answer is probably yes. But now I didn't murder them. Here's why I'm feeling bad about not murdering them. I feel bad about it. Why do I feel bad about not murdering them? Because they just straight up murdered somebody. And then, like... But am I just pushing this problem off to another location? Do you know what I mean? Did we do a wrong thing by not murdering them? You murdered someone? Well, now you have to leave. Sorry. I mean, did I just feel like maybe I did the wrong thing by not murdering them.
Have you talked to Sebastian yet?
Yes.
What did he say?
He said he's gonna go on a date with you.
Okay, but how did he say it? Did he sound excited? Or like he was just agreeing to it? Was he like, yay, a date with Celia? I've secretly been waiting for this. Or was it more, sure, I don't have anything else going on?
He likes you, Celia. Just don't ask him for any discounts.
Not to worry. If I never buy another Raptidon tongue, it'll be too soon.
I don't think he's gonna like that, but whatever.
What are going on? I'm sure you've got other things to do, and Mr. Nandi's giving me that back to work look.
That's cool.
Anyhow, thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, hey, I leveled up. Sweet. So I get to level up now, but here's the thing. I know that I said that I want a 100 in Persuade. I know, I like making them stop being dumb as well. And I realize that I do need to do that, but I need to have more leadership. My leadership is tragically low, and it needs to be better than it is, because I want my companions to get more armor rating, and I just think this is, you know, I just really, like, I feel very bad that my leadership is so low. I want to get them, you know, I mean, I just think this is bad. Hey, Volus, Trooper, I feel bad for innocent PC that gang that got away with murder. Jezza looks at people carrying piles of loot walking to sunset that should be in his pockets. Yeah, but... So... Here's the thing. Yeah, we're gonna put the points in leadership. We're gonna try to get our leadership up to at least 40. I mean, I don't know whether or not... I don't know. I don't even know. Look, I want them to get the extra armor rating because I want them to live a little bit longer. So we're going to try to get them to 40. And then I get a perk, which I'm very excited about. And that perk is going to be... movement. It's not interesting. Time dilation. I don't use that as much. Second science weapon damage. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Headshot. Highlight. I don't want to care. Vendor price. I don't care about that. Dialogue skills. No, that's by yourself. I don't like that either. Health restored per kill? That could be good. Companion cooldown? Perks are done because there aren't 20 carry... Yeah, I just need 20 carry more perk stuff. That's really what I need. Come on. Why don't I... I know. You know what? Why don't I do this? There's that one where I get health back if I kill somebody. That seems 15% health restored per kill. Let's just do that. Oh, there's more carry perks? Okay. We're going to give ourselves health with kill because sometimes I get killed and I don't want to do that. So we'll do that. Accept. And I think I should probably get a perk on science, yeah? Don't you think? Should I?
You should know you're getting excellent reviews from across the company.
Right?
What can I do for you?
Isaac Rose is dead. I found the people who killed him.
But that's terrible.
Yeah.
What happened?
It was Elijah and his hooligan friends. I ran them out of town.
I'm glad to hear you've dealt with them. They've been causing quite a bit of trouble around town. I've been consumed with other matters of late, but I would have dealt with them.
If you say so.
It really was on my to-do list. Still, your intervention in the matter is much appreciated. Please consider this payment for your services.
Okay. Unshattering knees, hoarding perks, and maybe accidental charisma. You know, are you using the science weapons? I've not been using them yet, but if I get a pistol science weapon, I totally would use one. Like, I feel like I could, because I feel like I'm sciencey, so I feel like using science weapons would be good for me, but I just don't have a science weapon that I like yet. That's all. Trooper, when do you get hooked on Animal Crossing? I don't have a Switch. To be fair to Jezza, this town is the only bastion of safety in a wild, untamed planet full of man-eating raptidons. Running people out of town is a death sentence. That's fair. I have found... Should I ask him? I'm going to ask him.
Hiram? Why, he's probably still out at Devil's Peak. Not that he's had the courtesy to notify me, at any rate.
How do I get to Devil's Peak?
You'd head south along the road and look for a mountain to the west.
Okay.
Not that I'd advise it. It's a terribly dangerous trek.
Thank you.
But if you insist on going, I'd recommend taking a local guide.
I'm going to bring her along.
Would be a prime candidate.
I'll do it.
If you can keep her sober.
I gotta go. Those guys are just going back to the sublight town where they're from. Ugh. I'm suffering quite a bit from FOMO from not being able to purchase a Switch this year because 2020 is the worst. Yeah. Visited Phineas at his lab. I think I visited everybody. So in terms of my science weapons, I've got this like shrink ray. Oh yes, I have visited Phineas at his lab. I've visited Phineas and his lab, I think, twice. So I've got this shrink ray, which like is not super exciting, and then this prismatic hammer. So I've got 2 science weapons, is what I found. Yeah. Oh, that's the only pistol science weapon? Ugh. All it does is shrink people down. I don't know how exciting that is. I just don't know how excited I am by that. That's all. Search the house. Braxton was making delivery to a house. Oh, yeah, that's fine. I should talk to Caleb. And that's Scylla. Fallbrook. Some data stuff. All right. I think we just have to go to the bar, and then we can walk outside. There's a dozen or so. There's like 4. There's science weapons for each weapon type, so I think 6. If the... Hello, McGuire. I love your mustache. Where's Caleb? I am looking for Caleb. Is he upstairs?
How does what feel?
Serving an instrument of corporate supremacy.
Let me hazard a guess. You're talking about the church.
Isn't it true the OSI is just a cog in the machine of oppression?
Oh, I love you too.
I'm glad you're asking questions, Felix. Curiosity is the foundation of the scientician faith.
Don't try and convert me, preacher.
I love you two. Actually, that would make sense as I used one and my companions each used two. Oh, they can use them? Oh. I just didn't realize it would be useful for them to...
Why don't you grab a chair, sit a spell, and revel with us?
Sure, we can talk about Velma.
Got an update for us? We can't afford to sit this out for too much longer. Know what I mean?
We've got your pay raise.
How'd you manage that?
Hey, don't worry about it.
Never mind.
I don't need to
If
share
I
that
question
information.
it, it'll turn out not to be true. Besides, I never follow how you got Velma to part ways with a bit card of her own accord. As agreed, here's your compensation. Ain't a lot.
Hey,
I hope
thanks.
it shows how much we appreciate all you've done.
I also
Now,
stole
me
your
and my
life
friends here
savings.
better get back to work before Velma blows a fuse.
Cool.
Best get back to work. Don't want to give Velma a reason to change her mind.
Yeah. Also, I totally stole your everything. But it's cool, but you're getting a raise, so I feel like everything's good, right? Like, hey, do you think that's interesting? It probably isn't. Ouch. I keep jumping off of things and breaking my legs, and it keeps being really awkward. But whatever. I also think I'm stuck. Can I go this way? There we go. It's cool. I'm not even worried about it.
What are the chances of all the times and places we could have been born?
Yeah.
We're here, light years from Earth.
Let's
going
talk to
about
Nyoka.
our lives.
Trooper, you just stole some dude's money and justified it by promising it keeps the toll away from slightly more money. Because I believe in freedom.
The Charmer. Welcome back. Drink, chat, or business?
Hey, Nyoka.
All of the above?
Yes, I've got your magic pills, but these things are dangerous, you know.
More or less dangerous than a steady supply of alcohol. Give it here.
All right.
Whew, that hits the spot. Right in the, oh, no, there it is. There it is. Yes. We're in business. Let's go.
All right, well, glad to have you.
Great. Where to?
I need to find an information broker.
Oh, Hiram? I ain't checked in on that man in an age.
Jezza steals
Running
once.
The giant radio tower we lovingly call Devil's Peak.
Huh.
We'll be going south and west.
Okay.
Mostly along the road till we're past Fallbrook.
Okay.
Out there, there's a western slope that'll lead us through some fun. You like hunting, right? That's fun.
Yes?
If you're more of a spelunker, Rotting River will take you into the mountain caverns. We can discuss options when we get closer.
Okay.
That said, 3's already a crowd. I don't mind waiting somewhere until you got a spot open.
Oh. Vicar Max. Wait on the ship. We need Nyoka's help for now.
A real big game hunter. You gotta give me some pointers.
I hope this is a good idea.
So, Nyoka, what's the ugliest thing you ever killed?
Oh, I still have nightmares about this.
Oh, these two are going to get along, aren't they?
This most foul creature I've ever faced.
Oh my goodness.
Just shy of 7 feet tall. Breath like a sulfur pool. A little slow, strong as a mountain. If I recall, his name was George, Gregory, I don't know. Some G name. He and a band of pirates tried to ambush me and mine on the trail once.
Oh.
Wait, you're talking about a person?
Yeah.
Yeah, poor guy. I think my bullets did his face a favor.
Oh my goodness. You too. If boxes refilled every month, Jez would keep coming back. Yeah. So, is this a good team? Is this a good team? We're gonna have Nyoka because we need to have her, clearly. I think that I'm all teams are good teams. Yes. Yes. Felix, you give me what? What do you give me? Felix gives me Persuade. And sure. Right? But what does Nyoka do? Nyoka, what's your... Oh, hello. Big weapon. Light machine gun and a cleaver. All right. And what is this? This is a two-handed melee. And this tactical shotgun is clearly not as good. You've got some good stuff there. And this two-handed melee is it's a prismatic weapon. Not as good as this other cleaver, which I don't... You know, I'm just saying. One-handed... Two-handed, what is that, a 168? We've got some 168s, which don't seem all that exciting compared to that 175. Got some really nice one-handed melee, but I feel like I should have some one-handed... Nah, I don't care. I don't care about that. All companions get bonus to 3 things. It should be in the stat page. Oh, all right. Yes, let's set up her perks. She has got some 19 body armor. Do you need... I feel like she's probably not very stealthy. Is this correct? Is this correct? Because if that is so, we can just put her in... what is she in? She's... Oh, no, she's in light armor. Oh, thank you. No, she seems to like light armor. So let's, what are your perks, my friend? You... Oh, you help my lie. Nice. And make me a little bit stealthier, and I get to damage creatures. That sounds great. I like it. We're doing it. Since I started at 20, we're gonna... Should I have Felix or should I have Parvati? You know what? I'm overthinking it. We're going to...
You know, Nyoka, between you and me, we know all there is to know about Monarch.
What makes you say that?
Well, you got your life experience as a hunter, and I've memorized every episode of Terror on Monarch.
Oh, Terror on Monarch's a riot. It's all made up, though. You know that, right?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, right. Next, you're gonna tell me Halsey and Helen weren't based on a real person.
I won't tell you that, no. You seem happier in your ignorance.
Yeah, you two, look, it is 3. I could go, but so that I feel like I've made really good progress, we're going to walk into the wild a little bit and find the next place to save. We're just gonna like do a little bit of walking and chatting. So yeah, I'm just like thinking about streams and language. But you know, I was thinking actually about something else that Polish was talking about, which I think about a lot. She said this, and I think about this a lot as a thing. I was like, and that is time zones, right? I think about time zones quite a lot because she's Australian.
I need to talk to you, Captain.
Okay. Sure. What's up?
Hey, got a favor to ask you.
Okay.
Figure while we're out here in the wilderness anyhow, we might stop in on an old friend of mine. Preferably before we get to Hiram's. It's on the way, don't worry.
Sure.
You don't seem the type to run off and get yourself killed, and I could use the help.
Well, I don't plan on getting myself killed.
Well,
he's
we'll see about that.
Persuading.
I'll be upfront with you. I hate asking for help. I hate it.
Oh.
Every time I give someone the opportunity to disappoint me, they seem to make it their most immediate goal.
Whoa, hey.
But this, what I'm thinking, it's dangerous.
Oh. Yeah, I'm honored you're asking, and I'm thrilled to accept. Danger's my middle name. What can I do?
Really?
Yeah.
Here I was steeling myself for inevitable rejection.
No,
I used to run with a band of hunters.
I'm cool.
Friends. 6 of us. We were on Monarch when the corporations pulled out, and we helped a lot of people pick up the pieces. I haven't seen 2 of them in years, and the rest I know to be dead. I'd like to gather their effects and bury them all in the same places, like the family we once were.
Huh. Krellin, what's Nyoka? Stealth? Lying? And what else? What else? How do you know they're dead?
I saw it happen.
Lie, medicine, sneak.
One of them was in my arms at the time.
Oh.
His name was Hayes, and he's our first stop.
Oh.
I buried him a ways from our encampment. I'll show you where he rests. He had a medallion in his effects. That's what I'll bring home to Barry.
Where's home?
A long time ago, we built an encampment in one of Monarch's cave systems. Trouble is, a Mantiqueen showed up and kicked us all out.
Oh, awkward.
If we can find Rebecca and Anders, they'll know how to lure her out. Then, we kill the bitch and bury everyone's medallions together.
Curiously, Max and Sim are the same set. Intimidate, hack, science. Oh, that's interesting. So you don't necessarily need to have them both. Sounds fun. Let's go.
Thanks, Cap.
Hey, you know what? If you need some help, we're going to be helpful. Because I'm clearly a little bit of a thrill seeker. Like, not like excessive, but I don't think Jez is a thrill seeker as much as he's flippant. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that he has got that kind of roguish, doesn't take things as seriously as he... Oh, what is this? Stellar Bay Docks. What's that? I think terror on the frontier. A mysterious stranger threatens our way of life. The destruction of Emerald Vale. What? Who? Thank you, Rissa. Devil May Care. Yes, I think he's Devil May Care. That's what I think. Parvati is Persuade Lockpick Engineering. Ellie is Lie Medical Engineering. You know... What? I don't know. Persuade Lockpick Engineering. Lie Medical Engineering. Huh. Interesting. So if I have... Why did I get rid of Parvati then? Ugh. Where am I? Oh, I know where I am. Also, let's do that. Oh, because I wanted Max for extra hacking. That's fair. Thank you. Thank you. That's fair. That's true. Yes, that's why. Because I needed to get the goods on Velma. Straight to the sewers. You know the sewers? They're underground, man. They're not sellouts. They're not sellout. They're underground. I have some leftovers in the fridge, but I don't know if I want the leftovers in the fridge. I might want something else. I'm not pointing a gun at you. And to get some extra options. Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's true. There was something that I was thinking about. Oh, so here's something that's really interesting. I was going back to Selinome, and I know that everybody says that D&D... Why am I jumping? Why am I jumping?
I always wanted to visit Stellar Bay. Taking the sights, the sounds, Wait, what's that smell?
You'll get used to it. Give it 10 or 15 years.
My mom bought too many groceries, so gave me some to me before they spoiled, but I also bought too many groceries. I need to buy groceries. I'm kind of out. I'm lucky my roommate made chicken curry last night.
Here's the road. Follow it south.
And is making some... yeah. I feel like there may be some killing monsters out here. And I am going to do a little bit of murdering. Oh. Hey, that was nice. We killed them. It was great. It means I have to have dinner for breakfast for a day or two. You know what? I like breakfast for dinner, and I like dinner for breakfast. If that dinner is pizza. I think pizza's a good breakfast. Yeah, you know. Hey. Did you see all this stuff? What's weird is that this looks to me like a cemetery, but it clearly isn't. So I don't really quite know what that is. Just side note. Monarch. Cascadia, Fallbrook, Amber Heights, Stellar Bay. Huh. I know, I don't think I've leveled up twice in one session either. Evicted? I should probably actually level up. And I'm totally going to do that once I look through these buildings so I don't get distracted. See, I do, right? I totally play games. I've leveled up in everything. I feel like a superstar. Oh, pens for animals that burrow? That might make sense because, like, yeah, maybe pens for animals that burrow. You know, Levi, I like your way of thinking. I should actually cook food, is what I should do, but I have a bunch of work to do. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see. Enhance ordnance control armor. Oh, wow. Ooh, that looks like a good thing that I could wear right now. Right? Let's take all of that. I think I got better armor than what I have. I kind of think I think I gotta like, I think I did something good. Can I start the food cooking and work while it cooks? Maybe. I don't know. It's a bit of an open question, to be honest. By the way, I think I got, so this is my current armor, which is a 24, which gives me dialogue skills +5. But this is a 33, which gives me leadership skills. Oh, soup does work well for that. I need to make some muffins that are like actually just eggs, like egg and cheese and bacon in a muffin cup, so I can just, and make 12 of them so I can eat them for breakfast over the next couple of days. So this looks like it's better. Although maybe it's not better. This is leadership skills versus... I don't know, people. I don't know what you think. This is like dialogue skills, and it's all of my dialogue skills, which is 3, which seems better than just leader... Oh, those are both leadership skills. Yeah, the egg muffin thing is great, because then you're like... So, I have got... Oh, I might be able to mod it into something... So look, we're going to try to get our leadership skills up. So that they have a better armor rating. And... I have 6. I should probably try to get determination up, huh? Gives them more damage. We'll do that. We'll just do that. And then we'll move back over to persuade and hacking. So I can like really fulfill my destiny as an elite hacker. Inventory? Because I've got, this has got some, it's got some corrosion armor, electrocharged surface, nightingale steps. So I got like good stuffs on there. But also, this is level 20, and this is only level 15. So maybe if I level this up to 20, it'll also be that high. Do you know? Those are options. So here's the thing. Yeah, I don't know what these things... Yeah, I suppose these are animal pens for burrowing animals. Don't we need to, like, look through this town all the way around, maybe? Isn't there, like, stuff waiting for us in this town? Doom things? Maybe? Oh, this looks like a church of some sort. Do you hear, bad things? Oh, hey. There are bad things right over there, but I'm not going to deal with them at the moment because there's a staircase. I don't think we would have looked through the entire town in the next minute, but the town looks like it's pretty small, don't you think? I mean... It looks kind of small. Hey, is that a person who's alive? Hello, person. Oh, you are not alive. You are dead. You are super dead. You're not alive. You know how like some people are alive and then some people are not alive? This person is what we would say not alive. In kind of an awkward way. So let's go. Oh. He respawned in town. Oh, well, I suppose as long as he respawns, it's okay? I don't know. I'm skeptical. Anyway, we're leaving. But this seems like a really small little ruin, like with not a lot of stuff. It seems. Oh, hey, guess what? I feel like I didn't actually kill that enough. Oh, hi. How are you doing? It was like, surprise. It came up to shoot me. Speaking of which, I have this weird idea for a module where the monsters in the dungeon remember all the times adventurers have played through it. Oh, that seems cool. I wonder how that would affect how they deal with their lives. I'm gonna put my weapon away. Hey y'all, what do you think happened in here? What do you think? Oh, I forgot. They all got ruined by monsters. I wonder like how it impact all those monsters. Are they traumatized? Or are they super, super good at their job now? Being monsters, stopping you from getting to the dungeon? Actually, what do monsters want in dungeons? What are they doing there? What is their raison d'etre? Y'all, there's a really great documentary called The Rape of Europa, which is all about Nazi art theft. And you can watch it on, I think, Netflix and also Amazon Prime. And you should go and watch it if you like, because it is being damp. It's very good, and it's all about the systematic theft of art that the Nazis engaged in, and what people did about it. And it talked about the Monuments Men and Rose Villard, this French woman who was amazing. And yeah, it's good. I recommend it if you are into documentaries. It's like a 2-hour documentary, so it's not like a short one, but it's one that once I knew that our team were going to involve trying to save art. What is this? Why does this skeleton look like this? Pick up a nice hat. Okay. I'm gonna pick up a nice hat. Pirating a show about art theft is next level. So this is a nice hat. Leadership skills and persuade. Oh, is it better than my hat? Probably. This gives me a bonus to, well, yeah, I mean, clearly it's better than my hat, but I thought the skeleton was going to start tapping, as well it should. Whatever happened to the amber room? Amber waves of grain? I don't think we've gotten there yet. I think we're going to be traveling our way there. So, y'all, I have a question. This is a ruin, a town of ruins, and I don't think it's anything particularly special at the moment, but I feel like we can just walk through it, even though this is not the place where we're ultimately going, just to check out all the abandoned... What do you think that is? Hey, what do you think that is over there? I'm just curious as to what these things are. Whatever happened to the Amber Room sounds like a play. Like one of those kind of like socially realist plays. The in real life Amber Room. Oh. Oh. Sorry. Because there's like an amber something in here, isn't there? Maybe I mistook it. The amber... Because they were just talking about an amber something or other. I am not losing my mind. I'm not. Whatever happened to Fay Ray? Whatever happened to Fay Ray? The Amber Room was a room from the Winter Palace the Nazis stole, was never recovered, thought to be destroyed. But so this is what's really interesting about that, I think at least. The people that we were in the documentary, they were talking to all these, you know, art historians and whatnot. Amber Heights? Amber Town? Oh, maybe.
Real ruins? Huh. It's just like in the serials.
Don't bother knocking on any doors. If anyone's inside, they're liable to respond with gunfire.
What they told me was... Felix, what were you doing this entire time? No. So about that, and this was really interesting, at least to me I thought it was interesting, they were talking about all this sort of like Nazi art that has been lost forever, right? Everyone's like, oh no, it's lost forever. I mean, these art historians, these people, they said that they didn't actually think these things were lost forever. They think we just have to wait another generation or two. Because they're like, look, a bunch of people have this stuff, but they were directly implicated in the theft of it. We just have to wait until they die and their kids or descendants or whomever find the art, don't realize that it has been stolen, and decide to sell it, not realizing that it's black market stuff. And then once that happens, then we'll know, like we'll be able to, like we will find out, because once they go on the open market, then we're going to know that this stuff exists. So like basically they say we just have to basically wait until it's far enough time that people don't realize. As long as they weren't destroyed by the Nazis. The Nazis did a lot of that too. But there was just, what's interesting, they just found a hoard of like 15,000 bits of Nazi stolen art just like a couple of years ago. It was just a couple of years ago. Some guy who, I think maybe his father? They found some artworks that some descendant of the Galler or something. Yeah, that's who I was talking about, Ice Bunny. Like his father was the gallerist who like just stole all this Nazi art, and he they caught him being mysterious, like he was being sketchy, so they thought maybe it was drugs, and so they went into his home and they searched his stuff, and it turns out he had like 10,000 bits of stolen art that Nazis had stolen, because his father was like a Nazi gallerist, and he had all of this stuff. And apparently he'd been just, what do you think this is? Oh, this is what a graveyard looks like here for them. Interesting. And he'd been stealing it, and like he inherited it from his dad, and was like selling one piece or here or there, small time, and they found it though. Monarch, Olympus Lovers Point. Huh. Yeah, and they had art on the walls. Hello, Olympus Lovers Point. If I remember correctly, the Amber Room is claimed to have been destroyed in a bombing raid, but some questions remain. Yeah, I think also because, oh. Huh. Beautiful, huh? I bet if I jumped over, I would die. So let's not do that. Let's not do that. Like, it's beautiful, right? Speaking of generations dying, I just remembered how during the last few elections we saw old people voting conservative, and we had a lot of people saying we just need to wait for them to die off to get progress, and now we have COVID-19, so isn't that super morbid? Well, I mean, I find it particularly morbid. Dismantled and disappeared. What I find particularly morbid is that there are people still on my Twitter who are calling COVID-19 the boomer remover and are laughing about it. And then when people call them out on it, then they talk about how boomers deserve to die. And I was like, wow, you are not a very nice person. You are not a very nice person. Like, that's not great. You know what I mean? Like, you can dislike boomers all you want, but wishing people dead is not a great look. That is not a good look, my friend. Yeah. And I think, yeah, dehumanizing language, yeah, it is super effective. That is true. Yeah, that is true. Why am I following such awful people? You might be following them. Because here's the thing. I followed a bunch of like RPG streamer people, progressive folks like that, and there are a bunch of people who are in that space. And like, they're there. We need to... Oh, I think we need to stop this boomer millennial hate too, but I'm a Gen Xer. Like, and this is like... Look at those waterfalls, huh? But again, like, I'm a Gen Xer, so this is like, I just feel stuck in between all these people being awful. See, there you go. I've been hearing that's more a Gen Z perspective in general, but there are more horrible people in the world. Oh, a Raptidon says. I'm a Gen Xer, therefore I can only feel one way about it. Oh, but I had a whole bunch of millennials being really, really mad that Gen Xers say that we're built for self-isolation because they think that they find that offensive. Because they're mad. Yeah, I got somebody like giving a whole bunch of hate on Gen Xers for calling themselves the latchkey generation, because they're like, how dare you say that you're the only people who do our latchkeys? Like, I don't think anyone's saying that. We were just called the latchkey generation. You can also have latchkey kids. Just because we're called that doesn't mean that nobody else has it. But, you know. But people are very, people are... they're in their space. It's okay to most of the people us use Gen X's are the same. Most of these people, us Gen X, are this. Yeah, well, I mean, anybody they don't like, right? I mean, anybody they don't like is a boomer. Even if you're Gen X, even if you're Gen Z, if they don't like you, you're a boomer. But we were the latch. Yeah, we were the latch. But Rissa. But now people are. Oh, hello. But there are people who are not happy that Gen X called themselves that because they think that it's, basically us saying that we are like somehow better or more oppressed than millennials and Gen Z, and that just shows to how horrible we are. That was fun. Like, it's just evidence of our badness, and we should shut our mouths, and that we're basically being really offensive. Boomers are, I know, but it doesn't matter. People are gonna be mad at us. People, like, there are a bunch of people who are in a space where they are feeling angry about everything, and they read things in poor faith. Like, there are people who basically are just gonna read things in poor faith, and I think that's just gonna be how it is. They're going to decide that when we're like, hey, we're the latchkey generation, what we mean is nobody else has ever been latchkey, and like, they're going to just read these things in these ways, and it's not at all what we said, but people are mad, and they're going to take out their anger by reading everyone else in bad faith. Like, the reading is that everybody else, like, everything we, like, it's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. Yeah, boomers were born. So would they have been students around 68? Some of them would. Baby boomers were like born from like 45 to 65. I think that's basically their generation. So yeah, 68ers are part of them. They get angry and then they get sad that people don't appreciate their anger. And like, there's just, you know, and then people say things. They say things like, they say unfortunate things. And I just suppose there's not much, I don't even know what I'm doing here. It's cool. And I mean, I kind of just realized there's not much you can do about it. If people are going to wish that other people die, if people are going to be like, I hope boomers all die and yay COVID because then they're all going to die. I mean, like, I can't do much for somebody who is that callous. And yeah, I can't do anything about that. That, you know, like there's not much I can do. If somebody's going to gleefully wish that somebody's grandmother dies or grandfather dies, I can't do much about that. I can't do much about that. And the thing is, I can gently try to point out that maybe that's dehumanizing language and not particularly very nice. And then when they come back with, well, they all deserve it, then there's like, that's when you got to know when to hold them. As our late Kenny Rogers says, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. And if when you try to point out that this is dehumanizing language, if they double down, then you just got to back off because there's nothing else you can do about that one. I'm just sorry that I'm part of the super entitlement group. Oh, Kulan, I wouldn't worry about it because boomers were also entitled. Like, it's, you know, one thing I think is super ironic is that boomers and millennials are so similar. They are so similar. They hate each other, but they're a lot alike. They would never admit it. They would never admit it, but they are a lot alike. You know, but what can you do? What can you do? I'm gathering all the things. Yeah. Oh, I just want a job, but the buyers have stopped that for now. Yeah, a lot of people want jobs, you know? And I think it's this sort of idea. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, I hope that we will become a little bit more humane, but that just may not be in the cards, you know? By the way, this is the part of the game that I can easily multitask. I just get to chat with you all while I'm looting, and it's great. The generational divides are mostly just narrative to divide folks up into teams, makes everybody easier to corral. Yeah, enjoy your nap, Krellin. And frankly, the generational divides don't help us. We need to pay more attention to fixing the problems together, but people are dumb. And a lot of this also has to do with marketing, to be honest. Right? Like, because we like to market things generationally. And so you need to have things, people need to have a generational identity so you can market to them. So part of it is that as well. Although I'm sure it's not only that. I'm just stuck trying to get my stream to work and not crash out on me. Wanted to give some distraction for a few hours. Yeah, and that's like a nice way to give back. The worst is when you point out how hurtful the thing is they say. You get a bunch of OU, HSP, why can't you not take a joke? That were often boomers who said that to me. Oh, well, you'll get that from everybody. All sorts of people. Ooh, the name game. Come on, everybody. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F or an M will appear. And then I say Bo at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and foe. And then I say the name again with an F very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Crit twitch, bo bitch twitch, banana fanna, fo fit twitch, fee fi mo mitch twitch, crit twitch. And I got the rhythm on that one just right there. I'd argue it's fueled by exit polling divisions. Maybe. Damn it, the alert startled me. Now I'm not gonna be able to nap for a bit. Oh, I'm so sorry, Krillin. But I also think about the ways in which a lot of these racial divides are super white. I mean, but this has historically been the case where a lot of this sort of like racial tension is just super white because a lot of minority people actually have a much better relationship with their elders, or also immigrants too. White immigrants also. They often have like a stronger relationship with their elders, and you know, that's all. I don't think I figured that out yet. Who are you?
Oh, thank the Eternal. I'm Huxley. Hux if you're lazy. I'm stuck. My friends and I were scavenging here, and a Meta Queen showed up, then Raptidons. It was a void-blasted mess. I ran in here, and, now the door's locked. Little help?
Okay. Yeah, so it's interesting, right? That like a lot of this sort of particular kind of generational stuff is also classed. Like it's not only race, but it's also classed. Different classes have different relationships to their elders, and different ethnic groups have different relationships to their elders. Whether or not you're an immigrant or not, you have a different relationship to your elders. So a lot of this is really it's right. It's actually just not as simple. Carlin says that's because y'all's elders support and advance you, while all elders destroyed our futures and demanded rent. But that's such a large generation, right? Because also some of our really important environmental activists are from the boomers, right? Like, I mean, I think about right, and like, I mean, Krellin, you love Bernie, right? He's that age. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that it's I think it's just important to note that, like, I just feel like these large generalizations, it's like a little bit tricky. And like, we can talk about generations a little bit, but I think we can generalize a little bit, but I think we have to be sort of thoughtful. He's older than the boomers. Didn't he march with Martin Luther King? What year was he born? Was he born before 1945? Was he born before 1945? The civil, yeah. Yeah, he was in 41 or 42. Oh, wow. Which makes him then oh, hold on. Oh, hold on. If he's born, oh, give me a second. Boomers, Silent Generation, X, Millennial, Z. Before boomers and between, there's a generation in between the boomers and the greatest generation. What is the name of that generation? Because there's forgotten and there's silent. There's forgotten and silent. Oh, so the three, so Strauss and Howard, these two scholars, they talk about there being these tension between greatest, silent, boomer. You forgot in between boomer and X. Forgotten generation is between boomer and X. There's no, wait. No, you're right. So greatest, silent, boomer, X, millennial. Yeah. No, you're right. Thank you, Krellin. You're right. Well, Ice Bunny, you also have generations. There's like there is one from the 20s. In Germany they named one from the 20s. They had one. But there's an interesting. These two sociologists, I think they were, Strauss and Howe, had an interesting discussion about generations, and in basically that they say a lot of this is about is that the kind of generational culture is often linked to immigrant countries as opposed to countries back where things are more stable, where they've been there for like 1,000 years, whatever. But Ice Bunny, you talked about 68ers, right? But the thing is, I actually think that you can talk about generations as well. The 68ers in Germany, the ones that were quite radical and had all those student revolutions, they are also a generation that people will talk about. People do talk about generations in Germany. They just use some slightly different words for them. But certainly they talked about, oh yes, you've got so many games today polished. Yeah. Well, but you know, Krellin, the dates mixed a little bit with Y, because my sister was Y, but the cutoff date shifted. When she was, because she's born in 78, and 78 was Y, but now we don't have Y, but we have millennial, and 78 is not a millennial, right? So they kind of shifted. They shifted the boundaries, because, right, I mean, 78 was Gen Y, pretty clearly it was Gen Y, but now we don't have Gen Y, and we have millennial. They'll sort of say start in 80, so it's a little bit tricky because she was like in this little. No, I'm telling, because my sister was 78. Sister was 78, and she was a Gen Y back in the 80s. They called her Gen Y. I'm just saying. No, 78 was Y. Right, but 77 is X. You always get to be X. But, I don't know. You got locked in? How?
Easier than it sounds, all right? Next time you get chased by raptidons, you let me know the rationality of your decisions.
Okay, well, I need to get in that room.
Phew. Thanks, mister. My buddy had a key, but I ain't heard him in a while. He locked me in here and took off. Probably got munched. So look for a dead guy, I guess. Or a rat. Maybe it's in a rat belly. Gross.
Okay, well, seeing as you're trapped, you might as well answer a few things for me.
Sure. Pete's not answering questions.
Who are you?
Huxley. I'm an iconoclast runner. The iconoclast runner. Fastest we've got. Ain't a raptidon on this void-forsaken hellhole that can catch me.
Huh.
I'm sorry. Put me in a tiny room like this and I'm liable to flip. Not keen on tight spaces, you know?
Oh, yeah. So tell me about these iconoclasts.
Oh, that'd be my people. Graham and Zora and Milton, and I really miss them. You gonna let me out of here? I want to get back to Amber Heights.
Amber Heights. So, do you get locked in closets often?
My buddy locked me in here. I told you that. It was for my safekeeping, on account of raptidons wanting to munch on my head.
That's fair.
But, I mean, okay, yes, fine. I get myself into sticky situations. It's just part of the life, all right? Sometimes you gotta hide in a trash can so you don't get eaten by monsters.
Wait, really? I wasn't serious.
Oh, neither was I. Who'd hide in a trash can? Gross.
Look, I'm looking for a Bolt 52. Any line around?
Probably. I don't know. When I try to read things, my mind gets to wandering about all the things I could be doing instead.
That's fair. All right, so back to the door.
Get me out of here!
Yeah, there must be a way to open it from the inside?
What do you mean? It's locked.
Right, I'm going to do engineering. Right, but okay, let's try the handle. Turn it upward and...
Wait, upward?
Yeah.
Oh, my eternal soul, it worked!
Phew. Thank you so much. It was getting all stuffy in there, and I was getting a mite lightheaded, and I think maybe I was gonna die. Now I'm out here. And I'm headed back to Amber Heights.
Still landing yourself in trouble, eh, Hux?
Oh, hi, Nyoka.
Upward.
You mind giving me an escort back home? Oh, you're traveling with someone. Never mind.
Are you sure you're... what, with the trouble you caused me, you're dying here? Why would I just kill this person? Are you sure you're okay to travel?
Oh, sure, I'm a runner. I'm used to getting all dizzy and... Hey, who's your identical, slightly blurry friend?
Oh my goodness. Well, good luck.
Thanks a lot, mister.
I have to put my gun away because that was rude. It's not an RPG if you can't play a complete sociopath. I mean, that's true. That is true. Look, I feel like we're... Wipe any terminals in the building. Oh, there was a terminal we didn't look at, by the way. There's a terminal down there that we have to finish, and then we'll be good. That's just a note. Then I think we'll probably go for the day. Which is why Legend of Zelda is an RPG. Someone who grew up with 4 generations and their trauma under one roof, it always looks so perfect, picture perfect from the outside. My parents were hiding the dysfunction and conflicts that none believed me when I spoke up. Yeah. Chicken Chaser. I'm not going to use that because I bet it will. There's no chicken kicking in the first game. And is that a problem, though? Maybe it is. But there's chicken chasing? Hello. Here I am on the roof, looking at the beautiful views. It's gorgeous. I also have the sense that this is not the direction we were supposed to be going, but, you know. Do you hear bad things? No, you totally did. And I'm going downstairs. I just got a little distracted by... This town's kind of big. This town is kind of big, isn't it? Is there anything up here that's very exciting besides that? Hey, I think I have to repair stuff. Yeah, that's fine. There we go. So we're gonna go back. Because I thought there'd be like a fun surprise, but it looks like it wasn't a fun surprise. Feels like it was the opposite of a fun surprise. But also, I may never be able to actually go up this... there's a pathway trooper, so you are supposed... Like, this is what I'm trying to say. If there's a pathway, then I'm probably supposed to be there. But now I don't think I can actually go back the way I came. Oh, there's got to be a way. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. First off, y'all need to get out of my way so I can jump around. There we go. Jump on the crates. Well, and the kids do first, in hindsight, get what war trauma is. Yep, I mean, and how you sort of respond to trauma becomes jump around. And how you just, like, and part of, I think, what has defined various dramas is there are different ways of responding to war trauma. Like, I know that when you think about that particular, the generation that were our boomers. Hi, Huxley. What are you doing now? Oh, you're just disappearing. You know, a lot of them were like radical terrorists because their parents had been Nazis and they, did not respond well in the end. They were like, their response to their parents being Nazis was to sort of be the Red Army faction or the Baader-Meinhof group. So, you know, I mean, people do different things. But like, you can think like the different generations, how do they deal with technology or trauma? View executive reviews. Welcome to Archives, Records, and Miscellaneous Storage. Please select one of the menu options. Accessing loading last accessed document. Executive review for Sanjar Nandi. Sanjar has a bad habit of padding his reports with numbers and statistics, not very good with slogans, jingles, and or taglines. Psst. Presentations to be dry and lacking in emotional appeal and funny references. Sanjar also displays a noted tendency to complete work rather than delegating it, a trend unbecoming of upper management. What? I like him. All in all, Sanjar's work habits suggest a preoccupation with details and a starting lack of vision. We cannot recommend him for further advancement. Needs improvement in the following areas: interpersonal communication, brevity, delegation, idea generation. Executive review. Graham Bryant. Note, all executive reviews are the property of Monarch Seller Industries. It is not permissible to view or tamper with any executive review without the approval of an authorized manager. Good thing I don't care. Monarch Cellular Industries is not responsible for any mental, emotional, or digestive stress that may result from viewing these reviews. Oh, Graham reads the iconoclast. All right, what do we have here? Restricted file. Oh, I'm going to hack that. Executive review for Graham Bryant. Graham's understanding of product messaging and branding is impressive, especially for a relatively low-level editor. He has a knack for memorable slogans and taglines. However, Graham has issues with brevity and shows consistent disregard for prescribed fonts and formats. Some of his work has been flagged for subversive undertones. Recommend further supervision. Oop. And then Dora Erickson. Do I know Dora? This terminal brought to you by enter company name here, enter company name here, enter slogan here. Dora shows a real knack for brief but compelling presentations supported by catchy slogans. Her delegation skills are also top-notch. She can build a lengthy meeting around any topic and emerge with plenty of work assigned. Recommend for promotion. Huh. Let's delete all of these. I'm going to delete it all. Because, is the iconoclast number 2. I don't know how I feel about their ideas of leadership. I know, organize a lengthy meeting, like those don't sound like meetings I want to be in, is all I'm trying to say. So we are here. We have explored like a pretty decent chunk of this side of the building. I don't think it's time for me to go. Well, it is time for me to go, but I don't... Do we have a lot? Is this town, are we done? I should have copied them 100%. 100%. The Bader-Meinhof complex, but I got the impression that Bader was only meant to be violent and not for some ideological greater good. Bader wasn't, but Gudrun Ensslin was, right? I mean, the whole, like, Bader didn't actually found that group. It was Gudrun Ensslin that founded it. And it happened at the, so for those of you who don't know, the Bader-Meinhof group was freedom fighting group, terrorist group, whatever you want to call it. A group of young students, all bunch of boomers, and they're young and they were protesting the Shah of Iran coming to Germany, Berlin it was, and I should have copied them, Krellin. I would have loved that. And anyway, they were protesting the Shah because of his regime, all of that goodness. And while they were protesting peacefully, one of the police officers, who it later turned out actually was East German, was an East German Stasi spy, as it turned out. Anyway, this police officer went and shot and killed an unarmed protester named Benno Onsorg. And he was just like he was not actually protesting. He was just walking home around the protest area. And this police officer shot this kid. And then there was, I actually think this is a good place for me to stop and not go forward. I can just stay here at this workbench, which is what I'm going to do. So, because maybe I can, I don't know, maybe I can do stuff. Anyway, so what happened was, the shooting happens and everything goes crazy. It's one of these, like, one of these big student riots that happened in the 1960s, as it were, after these police shot this kid, and all the folks scatter. And Gudrun Ensslin, whose parents had been, if I remember correctly, I think her father was a pastor and was one of those sort of anti-Nazi priests that suffered under the regime, the Nazi regime. Anyway, they grew up learning about the Holocaust and all that. And then, of course, at this moment, it's 68, so like Vietnam's happening and there's suffering in the world and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, so she gathers up this, like, she and these various students, they all gather up in a room in a place after this shooting. So like they just had this shooting. There's like madness everywhere. the German police have just shot some kid who was a peaceful protester, and everybody's freaking out. And she turns to her fellow college students, right? Because they're all college students. She turns to her fellow college students and she says to them, they are a fascist state, right? These police have just shot and killed an unarmed protester. And she says, many of the heads of Siemens Nixdorf and head of these big companies.
The hunters wait patiently. No prey arrives. The hunters leave hungry.
Right. But the head of these big corporations were the same people who were the head of the corporations during the Nazi regime. And although we got rid of the big top Nazis, many of the same people who were in charge then are still in charge now. And she said to them, our parents, when the Nazis came, they either joined up or they didn't do anything when the Nazis started rounding up people or shooting people or attacking people. Like, our great shame is that the people our age in the 1940s didn't go and do anything, right? They didn't do something when Germany became Nazi in the 1940s, and these people are still in power. And so what are we going to do? Are we going to sit here and do nothing, or are we going to do something? And so, she inspired all these young people to basically drop out of society and bomb police stations, rob banks to get money so they can bomb more police stations. They shot and assassinated judges and kidnapped heads of business, and they were called a terrorist organization, but at the time a bunch of left-wing people were like, we think ideologically they have a point. And Ulrike Meinhof was a left-wing journalist, and she ended up basically sort of writing pieces in like defense of them, and she ended up kind of becoming a member of this group, the Baader-Meinhof group, or what they were called the Red Army faction. And this was like part of 68, where there were a lot of these really radical, there were a lot of radical groups at the time, and they were like the Red Brigades in Italy. There was like a bunch of these different groups that were running around. So you had like your radical young folk of that generation who, and I think a lot of, when you think about Ulrike Meinhof and Gudrun Ensslin and sort of these folks, a lot of people who were part of it, they were dealing with war trauma. They did not fight in war, but their parents had, in their mind, allowed the Holocaust to happen, and so they needed to do something. So war affects you in lots of different ways, right? And especially what the way that the Second World War affected Russia, the former Soviet Union, is different from the way that it affected Germany, which is different from the way it affected the United States, which is different from the way it affected Japan or France or the UK. Like, each country has its own relationship to World War II or any conflict, really, and that's going to impact a generation of people for multiple generations, and that's and people will respond differently to it. In the same way that World War I really shaped a bunch of, that golden generation, they were really shaped by World War I, the ones who were running around in the 1920s.
You ready to get moving?
Maybe. Relax. All right, so I gotta go, everybody. What are we talking about? I gotta go. So let's see. I'm Trooper SJP. This is the Academic Foxhole. I want to talk about what I'm doing next. I'd wish I'd gotten into that in college history. Yeah, Crit Twitch, we don't do a good job of teaching contemporary history, and I wish we did a much better job of that because it's super interesting. It's so interesting. All right, so let me tell you what I'm doing next week because I feel like you should know. So next week, on Wednesday, I'll be doing The Witcher Family of Wraiths. That's Wednesday, April 1st. On Thursday, and that's at 8 o'clock on Tales from the Grim. Thursday at 6, I'll be streaming Dominique Pamplemousse, which is a video game that's got claymation and also sometimes singing. So I feel like it was recommended to me and we'll do it. On Friday at 11 a.m. on Praxagora the Smophoria's channel, we'll be doing a staged reading of Anthony and Cleopatra, and I will be in that one. And then at 7 will be episode 5 of City of Light and Shadow, when we're right in the middle of this party, and people have got some decisions to make. And then on Saturday at noon, I'll be playing more of The Outer Worlds. So that is, yeah, it's really different from Telling Lies, Rissa, and I thought it'd be a nice palate cleanser. I thought it would be good, and yeah, and I guess it's the way August. Yeah, but Bader was a thug, right? So like Bader's not the same as Enslin or Meinhof. They're different. Anyway, so yes, so that's what I'm doing this week, and I think the week after I'll be doing Afra Ben, actually. It'll be yeah, so I've got like another dramatic reading the week after, so that's really fun. Let's see, what else do I want to tell you? Oh, I should tell you, right? If you're hanging out and you haven't followed and you want to follow, please do. You don't have to if you don't want to. And you can always subscribe if you like. You can join us on the Discord, where there's information, including right now on Discord, I have posted the code that Regina's character has received from London, but hasn't yet decrypted. It's encoded. If you want to do that, you can. And then you can get the record of our shows on YouTube. Also at Trooper SJP, that's also at Trooper SJP, and you can find me on Twitter at Academic Foxhole. And if you like, you can support the show on Patreon. That's also at Academic Foxhole. And I just paid the cast all last night after our show, and so that was really great. And it made me really happy to be able to give them some money for the show, because they do such great work. And I also know they spend money on wigs and on cosplay, and to be able to compensate them is meaningful to me. So that is everything. I'm gonna eat food. You all should eat food. I'm gonna eat food. I'm gonna do grading. I'm gonna work on syllabus stuff and hopefully try to get a little bit ahead of things. So that is it. I want to thank you all for being here. You all are great, and I will catch you on the flip side. I will see you all later. Thanks for being here. Stay inside. Wash your hands. Bye, everybody.